Stand up! New York Giant fans, obviously still recovering from that pitiful loss last night, but us New York Giants fans got some pretty encouraging news. I think the majority of the fan base is probably pretty happy right now that the New York Giants have started to make some moves in terms of the coaching staff by firing the guy that we all thought was the most obvious choice that needed to be changed, that was in the power of the New York Giants, that would have made the biggest impact potentially on this year's team 3 or 4 weeks ago. I was on record on Twitter saying that I would have fired him at the bye. Jason Garrett with the New York Giants just simply has not worked. And we'll go over some of the things that the numbers and everything else, period in the story, has not worked. It's been a complete and utter disaster. The New York Giants offense under Jason Garrett has scored 31 red zone touchdowns in 26 games. The offense, we're going to go over some of the schemes and everything else. Dan Orlovsky had a video that I want to show you guys on Twitter today. The offense was stagnant. It was pathetic under Garrett, and obviously he's not the only one to blame. I want to hit home with that. There's other factors to this offense for sure. The offensive line obviously still needs a ton of work. I'm not going to put the full blame on him, but it was something that needed to be changed. And in his place, at least according to Jordan Renan, it looks like the New York Giants are going to be bringing in Freddy Kitchens to be the new play caller. Kitchens, of course, called plays last year when Garrett missed one game due to COVID, and now he'll be the new offensive coordinator, at least for the rest of the year, for the New York Giants. And we'll have to see going forward as to what they're going to decide to do with the coaching staff at the end of the year. But you know for sure that Jason Garrett, who I think was the only member of this Joe Judge coaching staff that probably was not Judge approved. I think we all agreed when it happened, without his connections to Judge, pretty much every other coach had a connection. His connections to Mara, it was probably Mara influenced. And of course, Judge last night, you could tell from the press conference that he was definitely leaning towards making a change at that position on the coaching staff, and the New York Giants did just that. I want to talk about some of the impact that Freddy Kitchens may have on this offense, some of the impact that he had while he was with the Cleveland Browns, while he stepped in mid-season for Baker Mayfield, when Mayfield really struggled in the first half of 2018, and some of the things that the Cleveland Browns said that he did for that offense and what he may bring to the New York Giants as a play caller. But let's talk to a couple of people in the chat. What's going on there, Joseph Cuban, man? What's going on there, Corey? Oh, God, I got something on my lip. Yeah, I got something on my lip. I was so excited to go live. I didn't even look at the screen before I went live. I was having some yogurt before I went live. So there you go. I had something on my lip. Good thing I saw that in the chat. But what's going on there? What's going on there, Andrew, man? What's going on there? Jake, man, thanks for popping in the stream. What's going on there, Nathaniel? What's going on there, Alvin? What's going on there, Sim? What's going on there, Sean Sullivan, man? What's going on there, Timothy, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. What's going on there, George? What's going on there, Brar? What's going on there, Creative Styles? You always get a laugh when you come to one of my streams. But Brandon, man, thank you very much. We just won our Super Bowl. It feels like it. Obviously, we're still 3-7. Obviously, we're still a complete mess. But this was something that New York Giants fans wanted forever, and they finally got it. So I'm happy and I'm thrilled as a New York Giants fan. So I'm glad that we finally made a change. Brandon Weezus, man, thank you so much, man, for being a member. He says 13 mother freaking months. Don't know if I should cuss, but let's effing go. When can I sit down again? You can't sit down to the end of the stream. You know that we're excited as New York Giants fans that we finally made this change. And hopefully this will do something, not just for Daniel Jones, but the offense in general. It's worth a shot. I mean, at the end of the day, right now, things look bleak for Jones. They look bleak for the offense. It's worth a shot, man. Take your shot with this team right now and see if this offense could click over the last 7 games and see if you have something with your quarterback and some of the playmakers on this offense before you make a decision next year as to what to do. So I think it was the right thing to do. Booze, man, thank you very much, man. Giants are so bad that this is a victorious Tuesday. Yes, it is. And it's something we've wanted forever. But it does feel like a win. Anthony Raza says, stand up, Chris, about time he was fired. Yeah, you're damn right it was about time he was fired, man. It's been a long time coming. So I'm glad that we finally made the change. And I'm happy as a New York Giants fan. I'll say that right now. Let's get into a couple of these for sure. Just don't want to miss any of these. Thank you to everybody for being here. Jonathan says, rejoice. This was a long time coming. Very much so. Jonathan, yeah, I think a lot of us were talking about it even before the season started. I wanted to give him a chance. I wanted to give him a fair opportunity. Year 2, he came in. The offense has not improved. It hasn't even come close to improving. As a matter of fact, you could argue it's gotten even worse. He's got more weapons. Granted, there's been injuries, but there's no excuses 2 years into the scheme for the offense to look as stagnant as it did last night. We had 3 points, and the only 7 points we put up in terms of a touchdown was because of the defense. And it wasn't even because of the defense, but it was because we got gifted an interception. So it was time, man. He's definitely not let's put it this way. There's issues with the offense, whether it be the players. He's definitely not helping it. That's for damn sure. Q-Dog, man, thank you very much. I really hope Russ Callaway gets an opportunity because I like him. Still believe in Daniel Jones. It looks like, at least according to Renan, that Freddy Kitchens is going to be the guy that steps in, at least as of now. And we'll see, what he does. I want to go over some of the things that he did with Mayfield when I get an opportunity in the past. But it looks like he's going to get the first crack at it. He, of course, stepped in for Garrett last year for a game. Looked like the offense performed a little bit better. I think it might have been against the Browns. I can't remember who it was against. And we'll see what he can do for this team. But it looks like as of now, it'll be Kitchens, Callaway, perhaps a long-term answer if they do, in fact, stick with Judge. Horny Tana says I was at the game yesterday, and the biggest difference was good teams get their good players the ball. It's that simple. Yeah, well, I mean, Kenny Golladay, and I understand it, looked like he had quit on the game the last quarter because he wasn't getting any targets, wasn't involved in the offense. You heard Judge talk after the game that players were upset, and it was completely understandable because they didn't have any plays drawn up for him. The guy had 2 targets the entire game. They barely threw the ball to any of the weapons throughout the game. It was just horrible. Not all on him, like I said. The players are definitely somewhat responsible as well, but he's definitely part of the problem. And RB Brooklyn says he's a scapegoat. Judge is terrible. The D was horrible. Why is Gettleman still here? And we still have the worst part of these clown show of an organization, the owner. Well, the owner's not going to step down. You know that. So there's no point in talking about it. I mean, I talk about it. I think he's the main problem. I say it all the time. But he's not going to step down. That's something that will not change. So you can't expect that to change. That will not happen, RB Brooklyn. In terms of the rest of what you said, listen, Gettleman's going to be gone. Firing Gettleman right now, yes, it'll make the fan base happy. He's going to be fired at the end of the year. Firing him now is not going to make an impact on this year's team. At least firing Jason Garrett potentially could. You bring in a new play caller. You see what he can do with Daniel Jones. You see what he can do with the pieces on this offense. But Gettleman's absolutely going to be gone. That goes without saying. He will not be back here as the general manager next year. I think we all are aware of that at this point in time. So just a matter of when, not if. I think they'll replace Gettleman maybe with 2 or 3 weeks to go in the regular season, so they get kind of a leg up on the competition in terms of what general manager candidates they may want to look at if they're looking to go from outside the organization. But we're going to have to wait and see with all of that. Gettleman's going to be gone. The owner will not step down. And, I think this was the most appropriate change that they could have made that could potentially have an impact on this year's team. It's kind of what I said when we were talking about potentially making changes, I don't know, after like week 4 or 5, that if I was going to make a change, that would be the change I would make. Fix the O-line says Judge just threw one to the alligators. Yeah, I mean, he had to. Judge had no choice but to do it. And I want to show you guys a play when I get an opportunity, when I catch up with all the chats that Dan Orlovsky really highlighted. I retweeted it on Twitter. I mean, this offense is a complete mess. I mean, they had 3 crossing patterns going right over the middle in the same spot. Now, granted, they only had 2 seconds to run their routes, but still, it was pathetic. And they had 5 guys blocking 3 pass rushers. They got to Daniel Jones within 2 seconds. The whole play is a complete mess. But, yeah, man, when you get a chance to look at some of the film after some of these games, it makes you question what he's thinking. Brandon, man, thank you very much. Now, when can we fire Mara? That ain't happening. Mara ain't firing himself, man. I know people want that. That ain't going to happen. Don't expect that to happen. Listen, I don't like Mara. I don't think Mara's done a good job for the last 8-9 years with the Giants, but that's not going to change. Dustin says, what do you think will change most from Jason Garrett to Freddy Kitchens? Well, I'm going to show you an article, Dustin, when I get an opportunity as to what Kitchens did when he was appointed the new offensive coordinator with the Browns and what he added to that offense and some of the things that they had to say. But one thing that he definitely did, he focused a lot more in terms of throwing to the running backs. They really highlighted that in the article. So I would expect them to try to get Barkley and maybe some of the other running backs out in space and try to create passing opportunities that way. Tony as well. But we'll see. But I'm gonna read you guys an article as to what he added to the Cleveland Browns offense when he stepped in and the impact that it had for Baker Mayfield. I'm going to show you the splits as well with Baker Mayfield before and after Freddy Kitchens in 2018. Dominic, man, thank you very much. Think Garrett fired takes Judge off the hot seat? No, it doesn't necessarily take Judge off the hot seat. I still am leaning that Judge will more than likely be back unless we completely tank the rest of the year. I know fans want him fired, especially after last night. That's just what I think Mara's going to do. I could be wrong. But no, I don't think it takes him off the hot seat. I think what it does show you is that John Mara is certainly letting him do things that he feels he needs to do to make this team better. A lot of people were kind of questioning whether or not he could even fire Garrett due to the fact that he was more than likely a Mara-influenced hire. And obviously, you got your answer today. Mr. Pride, man, thank you very much, man. This is what happens when your terrible owner forces a coordinator on a newly hired head coach. Mara sucks. Yeah, listen, say what you want. And Joe Judge not done a good job. Dave Gettleman's not done a good job. one thing you could say for sure, John Mara, at least in my opinion, and this is speculation, has forced a lot of things on their plates. I think I will go to the grave thinking that he forced Eli Manning on the new GM. I will go to the grave thinking that he forced Jason Garrett on Joe Judge. And that's just speculation. That's my guess, but that's what I think. And if John Mara wants this team to get consistent and get good, he cannot continue to do things like that. He has to allow the coaches to make their decisions. He has to allow the general manager to make his decision. And in my opinion, he has not done that. And it's been a disaster. So I'm with you, man. Mara's a problem, but he ain't going anywhere anytime soon. You just have to hope that he learns and grows from his mistakes. Abby, Matt, thank you very much, man. What to do, Chris? The first domino has fallen. Chris, let me know where I could send you an email, and I would like to ask you something about doing a channel. Yeah, I mean, if you have a Twitter, you can message me on there. I talk to people all the time through private message on Twitter. If not, I will write my email right here. I give you guys my email all the time. You can email me here if you want. But if you have a Twitter, you can just message me on Twitter. But I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much, buddy. Let's see. Will, he says, do you honestly think there will be a real difference between Jason's play calling and Freddy's? I mean, I at least want to see if there will be. I'll tell you that right now. It's worth a shot. There's nothing to lose. We have 7 games to go. And there is history in the past of there being him being a difference maker from within a season. I'm going to show you the splits with the Cleveland Browns. So it can't hurt. Now, the one thing I will say, I don't expect dramatic changes because you're not going to completely rip up the playbook midseason. You're just going to have a new play caller. So we'll see how much of an impact it will in fact have. But yeah, I think it could have an impact. I'm not saying it's going to have an incredible impact, but it can't be much worse. I mean, you've seen what the offense has done this year and what they did last night. I mean, my God, outside of the first drive, and I don't know about you guys, this is what it feels like for me as a Giants fan. The first drive, it always seems like the Giants have a pretty good game plan. They come out well prepared for the first drive. They move the ball, usually settle for 3 because our red zone offense is pathetic, but we usually have a pretty well-organized first drive. And then after that, there's nothing. And that's the way it's felt for me for the most part this entire year, outside of a game here or a game there. So it can't hurt to make a change at the offensive coordinator position. And I certainly think it's worth a shot, Will. That's my take. And do I think it'll make a dramatic impact? I don't know, but I think it could. And I want to find out if it can before we start to make our decisions as to what we need to do with the quarterback, the head coach, and everything else. I think this is something. The one thing that I really question, Will, is this. Why didn't you do this during the bye? Why did it take this last game? And granted, the offense was really bad last night. But why did it take this final game to come to this conclusion? And I guess maybe they wanted to see Andrew Thomas come back and all the weapons, but wouldn't have the smarter thing to be, not that it would have made an impact in terms of us making the playoffs this year, but wouldn't have been a smarter thing to do it during the bye? So you had 2 weeks for Freddy Kitchens to get acclimated to the players and give his game plan and what he wants to do with this offense. You would have had 2 weeks. Now you have a shorter week because you played on Monday night. You got to play Sunday against the Eagles. So if you knew that this was in the cards and more than likely was going to happen unless the offense made a dramatic change, why wouldn't you have done it during the bye? You had 2 weeks to start to implement this offense for Freddy Kitchens. That's my question. But it is what it is. I'm glad they moved on from Garrett, and hopefully this means some more changes going forward. Steve, man, thank you very much. The 4th down was when I was really done with Jace. The 4th down play call was pathetic. And the team just looked completely disorganized in terms of being ready to complete that 4th down. They looked like they didn't know what they were doing. They looked like that they didn't expect that they were even going to be going for 4th down. It was a complete mess. And then Judge, after the game, kind of said that it was intentional in some way. I couldn't even understand exactly what he was saying in terms of trying to throw them off sides with a quick snap count, whatever it may be. But yeah, the fourth down was a disaster. Jonathan, man, thank you very much, man. Chris, Galladay's frustration wasn't just because of last night. Zach Rosenblatt reported players expressed frustration recently, so it was the building. Well, it's not, and it wasn't just last night from Galladay. We've seen it earlier in the season. I think it was week 2 or week 3. You could see that him and Garrett kind of got into a shouting match. A lot of people thought that it was him and Daniel Jones, and then it came out later that it was between him and Jason Garrett being off in terms of the offensive play calling. They didn't really feature Galladay there later in the game when he was having a pretty good game. So you could tell that Kenny Galladay was definitely discouraged, with the offensive playbook and the offensive play calling in general by Jason Garrett. So for sure, I never like seeing that, though. I'm going to be the first to say that. I'm not going to use that as an excuse for Kenny Galladay to do what he did last night because, in my opinion, and I understand that he was upset, but in my opinion, you should never quit on your teammates, and that's what I saw last night from Kenny Galladay. Regardless of the situation, still didn't like seeing that. John, man, thank you very much, man. Anyone is better than Jason Garrett, but Freddy Kitchens ain't it. Was 7-9-1 as an offensive coordinator in Cleveland. Russ needs to be promoted over Freddie. Russ has shown creativity at Look, John, I'd be completely for that, man. I was excited when we brought him in. He was saying that he was going to add wrinkles to the offense. I'm willing to give Kitchens a shot, though, and it looks like that's what they're going to do. Kitchens last year stepped in for the one game, like I said earlier. So I expect him to be the guy, that was going to get this job if and when they made the change mid-season. Now, in the offseason, if Judge stays on, maybe they do make that change. Maybe they feel like Callaway needs a little bit more experience in the NFL, and he's the heir apparent and the guy that ultimately they're going to give, hand the reins to. I don't know, but I expected if they were going to do it in season, that Kitchens would be the guy, and let's hope that he does a good job. But, man, thank you very much, man. Let's hope Mara sees the light and hires a VP of football operations and steps back and lets him run the football operations. Listen, John Mara, period, end of story. He just needs to step back. He needs to step back, and he needs to let these guys do their job. Whether it's the GM, whether it's the head coach, whoever it is, he needs to step back and let them do their job. In my opinion, he's had too much of a hands-on approach with this New York Giants team for far too long. Not to say that I think he calls all the shots. I don't. He's not to me, he's not like a dictator. He's not a guy that handles everything. But if you're an owner, all I want as a fan is for you to sign the checks, and that's it. Make your profits off the fans going to the games. Be happy when the team wins, but let the guys that you hire to make the decisions. I don't need you forcing Joe Judge on the next GM if you bring in a new outsider GM. I don't need you forcing anybody on the new GM. Let the new GM come in. If you're going to trust him to make the decisions, let him make the decisions. That's my take on John Mara. I don't think he's allowed anybody to do that over the last 4 or 5 years when they have first taken jobs. That's my honest opinion on Mara. Alvin, man, thank you very much, man. Getty announced he's retiring around week 15. Will announce he's retiring around week 15. I wouldn't be surprised. I think that's the way it's going to go down. I don't know if it'll happen week 15. I don't know if it'll happen the week after the season. But I do think in the end, Gettleman will retire, but basically be a forced retirement, similar to what we did with Tom Coughlin. I would prefer it happen week 15, like you said. So we have 2 or 3 weeks. We get a little bit of a leg up on the competition in terms of scouting out GMs, guys that we may want to bring in the future, because you can't really do that with Gettleman still on the roster. So that's my preference. I would prefer to do it around, like you said, week 15. We'll see what the New York Giants ultimately decide to do. But I think it's completely obvious that he will be replaced, just a matter of when he's going to step down. Paramo, man, thank you very much, man. Best news of the day. Now give Wilson a chance on right tackle. He can't be worse than Solder. They got to give Parrott a chance. I mean, my God, Parrott should have been out there last night. I didn't understand why Parrott wasn't out there to begin with. So that's my take on that. So I'm with you on that, man. In terms of making a change at the right tackle, Wilson, though, if he's going to get a chance, at least what the reports have said, they've been training him at the guard position. So it looks like they're trying to mold him into a guard, not a tackle. But I'm with you, man. I would give Parrott a shot. I know Parrott has not played particularly great this year, but he's a project. He's a guy that needs experience. He's a guy that should be out there. You know Nate Solder's not going to be a part of the future. You know this team's not competing for a Super Bowl. And if you're scared that you're going to get your quarterback killed, Matt Parrott can't be any worse than Nate Solder. Nate Solder's been pathetic on the right side. So I think they absolutely need to make a change, and I was shocked that Nate Solder started the game last night. Let's see. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. And thank you to everybody for being here. Hopefully you guys enjoying your day. Wasn't expecting to go live today, but when I saw this news, I said I'll go live and talk with you guys. Stinky Fingers, man, thank you very much. You know how I feel about DJ, but today it feels good to be positive. I hope this makes a big of an impact as most of the fan base seems to be expecting. I don't know if it will or it won't, Stinky Fingers. I'm not necessarily expecting a huge impact from this. I'm hoping there's a huge impact from this, and there's no reason not to take the shot. You got 7 weeks to go in the rest of the season. You have a young quarterback that you're trying to see if you could at least push forward with for another year to see if he's worth it in terms of if he can grow. And I think it's at least part of the problem that Jason Garrett was the guy calling plays. Am I going to get the full responsibility on him? No. I think some absolutely needs to fall on the players. And obviously some of the roster development in terms of building the offensive line. But I definitely think that's part of the problem. And it's worth a shot to see if by bringing in Freddy Kitchens it improves things. So I see no reason not to make this move. My only issue was, why didn't you do it earlier, and why didn't you do it before the bye? That's my issue with it. John Letourneau, man, what's going on, man? Stand up, my friend. Unfortunately, something has come up, so I will miss linking up. But all the Eagles fans will be there for me. Let's go, Eagles. Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to going to the game. And that's unfortunate you're not going to be able to go. But I'm sure I'll meet you in a future game, John. And thank you so much for being such a great supporter of the channel, buddy. Let's see. Jatone says Christmas came early. It feels like it, right? I know a lot of New York Giants fans are excited today. It certainly feels like it for a lot of you guys, for sure. Will says, agreed, my friend. Looking forward to going to the Eagles game this Sunday. You and me both, man. I'll be there. I'll let you guys know where I'll be sitting. I plan on getting there early, probably around 10 a.m. I want to talk to Justin also from Talk of Giants. I know he's got season tickets. Maybe we'll try to set something up. I don't know, but I plan on getting there early and hoping to get to meet some of you guys, man. Really looking forward to that game against the Eagles. And Will, man, thank you very much, buddy. And let's see. Nelly says, hey, Chris, are you tailgating this Sunday? Yeah, I planned on doing something big. Bad Dog obviously backed out, couldn't go. So I'm definitely going to be there, and I'll be there early. I'll definitely have a few beers with you guys. And like I said, I'm going to talk to Justin, see if we could set something up. If not, I'll be in the parking lot. I'll be hanging out with you guys, and I guess I'll be hopping from tailgate to tailgate. I don't know. But either way, I'll definitely be at the game. I'll be there at 10. And, hopefully I get to meet some of you guys. I'm looking forward to it. Obato says, as a former college quarterback, I could tell Garrett overcomplicated a simple offense and put Jones in a bad situation to succeed. Well, I'm going to show you guys when I get an opportunity the video clip today that I really want to show you guys. And I'm sure if you guys are on Twitter, a lot of you guys have already seen it. But just how bad of an offense this was and just how much of sometimes how much it makes you scratch your head in terms of some of the play calls that Jason Garrett was drawing up for this offense. I mean, and even Bad Dog was saying it last night, and he's absolutely right. And it's every game. It wasn't like it was like rocket science. We see it every game. They make throws that there's no reward to, right? It's almost like the maximum reward is 3 yards, and the guy's going to get tackled, or you risk potentially throwing an interception. The risk to reward is just not there. There's no innovation in the offense in the red zone, where I think you really get to see just how good of somebody is in terms of scheming guys open when the field is condensed. Jason Garrett's been pathetic. It's been horrible. The offense has been pathetic. And for anybody that thinks that none of it's on Jason Garrett, you're wrong. I mean, look at what Pat Shurmur did his last year with the same quarterback with worse weapons. He had as many red zone touchdowns as Jason Garrett has since he's been here in 2019 in Daniel Jones' rookie year. Now, granted, Pat Shurmur, at least in my opinion, is one of the best offensive coordinators in football, but Jason Garrett was simply not getting the job done. Let's see what we got here. T, thank you very much, man. Why now? The painful game crystallized a sharp detail to the extent of the problems on offense. It could no longer be denied, excused, or ignored. I agree. I just wish it would have happened during the bye week. So it would have given Kitchens an extra 2 weeks to prepare, really get to, show them what he wants to do with the offense. But I'm sure maybe they've been working towards that over the weeks. I'm sure that Judge knew that this was certainly a possibility leading up into this week. But, I'm just glad that it happened. And I'm just hoping that the change could try to spark something in this offense. And maybe we see something out of Daniel Jones that makes us have a little bit more confidence going into next year. And if we don't, well, then we'll see what they ultimately decide to do in the offseason. But I think it was certainly a change that needed to be made, and it's worth a shot, T. Adam says, hey, Chris, just my opinion. I think you should post more videos than streams because more people would rather watch a video than sit on a live stream. Adam, when it's big news like this, I think a lot of people like to talk to the chat and go live. But yeah, I plan on doing more videos when I feel like there's stuff to talk about. I will definitely probably make a separate video as well talking about this. Probably not today, but leading up into the game this week, I'll definitely make another video talking about the impact that I think Freddy Kitchens could have when I get to do even more research with this offense. But I wanted to go live today because whenever there's big news, I feel like people want me to go live. In the past, I always try to do what the majority of people want, on my channel want to do. And whenever something big happens on Twitter, people always ask me to go live. So that's the reason I went live. I was going to make a video, and then a bunch of people asked me to go live. So I said I'll just go live. Jonathan, man, thank you very much, man. Will Hernandez cannot be back. He was atrocious. Will Hernandez is not going to be back, and I've tried to support Will. I like Will. Seems like a really good guy. He's a tough guy. Definitely a guy that I feel could be a leader of an offensive line in terms of his toughness. You saw what he did in the Cowboy game. But at the end of the day, he's a guy that I've had high hopes for year in and year out since he's been here. He lost a lot of weight in the offseason. I thought looked good in the preseason. Has not come to fruition. And last night, obviously had a couple of crucial penalties, was getting beat left and right. Will Hernandez, I don't think will be re-signed with the New York Giants. I don't expect to have him back here, Jonathan, unfortunately. And that's another spot we're going to have to fill. Christian says, you made the Yahoo Sports article on the Jason Garrett. Did I? That's pretty cool. Christian, man, I wonder what my tweet was that they picked out. But thank you very much. Adam, man, thank you very much. You think Judge will try calling the plays at some point? No, I don't. Judge is not an offensive coordinator. I've had people ask me that in the past. Should Judge call the plays? Should Judge step in as the offensive coordinator? No, he's a special teams coordinator. He's not an offensive coordinator. He's a guy that has said since he took the job, he's going to oversee everything. He's going to let his coaches do their job. So, no, I don't expect him to step in and call the plays. May have a little bit of an impact in terms of what Freddy Kitchens is going to do as the offensive coordinator. Sure, that's certainly possible. But no, I don't expect him to be the play caller. I'm sure he'll say what he wants in terms of a week-to-week game plan, in terms of the strategy. I'm sure he's going to have an impact with that. And, I do think a lot of the conservative nature of this offense is at least partially Joe Judge. But hopefully the New York Giants start to open this up going forward. But no, I don't think he'll be calling the plays at all. Let's see. We got Deception. He says, I love Tony, but I think the pick was Mara influence, trying to get his grandkids another OBJ. I'm going to say no to that. And I'm not saying you're wrong. That's your opinion. I'm going to say no to that. I don't think that was the case. And it's why I actually mocked, and it was in the second round in my last mock draft, but it was why I actually mocked Tony going to the Giants in my last mock draft in the second round when we traded down, because when I looked at all the wide receivers that were available, you think about Joe Judge, you think about what he wants to bring to the team. He always talks about versatility. And I looked at Tony as a wide receiver and I said, there's not a more versatile wide receiver in this draft. I could certainly see them taking a wide receiver in each one of the first two rounds. I thought he was a guy that could potentially complement a guy like Kenny Golladay pretty well, and a guy with upside. So I'm going to disagree with that. I think it was more Judge influence, probably more so than Gettleman, but I definitely don't think it was Mara influenced. Bob, man, thank you very much, man. After watching Jones last night, I agree with Bad Dog. Jones does not see the field, and once he locks onto one receiver, he stays on it. He was horrible last night. Regardless of who the play caller is going forward, he was horrible last night. You cannot exclusively put the blame for Daniel Jones last night on Jason Garrett. Sure, did Jason Garrett call a good game? No. I mean, I thought there were times, like I said in my post-game video, where I liked some of the calls that he brought in. But overall, as a game plan, yeah, he did not call a great game. He has not called many great games since he's been the offensive coordinator. And it's certainly not helped Jones. But the performance last night from Daniel Jones, you can't defend that. His performance last night was pathetic. He missed Kenny Golladay over the middle. The two interceptions he threw were pathetic, especially the first one. Can't defend Daniel Jones last night. It was one of his worst performances as a New York Giant. And that has been a big problem since he's been here. Like you said, a lot of people highlight that. He definitely does not do the best of jobs in terms of scanning the field. And hopefully bringing in a new offensive coordinator could help that. That's all I could say. But last night, Daniel Jones was horrible. Anybody that says otherwise is lying to you. He was bad. Can't blame that on Jason Garrett. Partially Garrett, sure, but not all of it. Bearman, thank you very much, man. Good start, but I don't think Kitchens will make much of a difference. I think a lot of it is Daniel Jones. All we can do is wait to see if we draft better O-line and if he just improves. Yep. And I think that's what ultimately is going to happen by going into next year. I think we will harp on the offensive line. Whether or not Jones will still be here remains to be seen. I don't think we'll draft a quarterback. Is it possible we could do what the Jets did with Darnold? It's possible if the right deal presented itself. But the question is, will the right deal even present itself? And if it doesn't, I agree with you. I think he will be back with the New York Giants for a fourth year, and they'll continue to try to improve the team around him. But they got to get it right. And, we'll see going forward with Jones and the rest of this team. But I'm just glad that we made a move with Garrett, and hopefully it sparks something in this offense. Let's see. Nader says, I really hope Barkley, Shep, Ross, Tony, and Golladay prevails now. I think we all do. We're fans of the team. We want the offense to look good. We want to score points. We haven't scored a lot of them. So if those guys prevail, the offense is going to look a lot better. So I'm with you, man. I think we're all hoping for that. And hopefully with a new play caller, it helps. I don't think it could be much worse. Kevin says, good riddance. I needed a win today, and it came. Bye-bye, Garrett. We got to go O-line with the two first. Hey, now we have nothing at left guard through right tackle. Yeah, Kevin, you're preaching to the choir. Let me just grab a water. I brought it down. I forgot to bring it over here. 1 second. But you're preaching to the choir, Kevin, in terms of the offensive line. I don't know if they're going to do that. I'm not going to cry if they don't take two, because I understand there's other needs. Certainly need to take one with one of those first two picks. I would take two. I would make sure I fill up the rest of that offensive line. And if they don't take two in the first round, they need to make sure they draft a couple of offensive linemen in next year's draft. Certainly at least one in the first. And that needs to be the focal point of this offseason. I'm completely with you. Lou says, taking a break from work, Graham should be next. His D is quite often too vanilla. He plays it scared. I know. I have Rasheed Morris. Hey, last night I understood Graham's overall game plan in terms of the zone approach. That is what I would have done against Brady if I'm being fair, but it wasn't working. They weren't making any adjustments, and they couldn't get any pressure at all on the quarterback throughout the game. So there's no defending anybody after last night's game. I mean, the defensive coordinator, the offensive coordinator, the head coach, the quarterback, you had 2 weeks to prepare. Yes, you should have lost the game. The Bucs are a better team, but for you to come out and lose in the method in which you did was pathetic. The New York Giants offense scored 3 points as far as I'm concerned. So that's as bad as it gets. After the first drive, we didn't score. Don't care that they scored a touchdown from the 4-yard line. After the first drive, we didn't score. We converted one third down the entire game. Tom Brady completed like 2 third downs probably on the first drive. We completed 1 third down the entire game. I mean, my God. And some of that obviously falls on Jones and some of that obviously falls on Garrett, but that's as bad of an offensive performance as I've ever seen. And let's see what we got here. And Big Daddy says, what did they wait for? The season is gone. Hey, I'm with you, man. I would have made the change probably. I said in a video, I think it was like week 4, week 5, I said I would have made the change at that point because at that point, shake things up, see what you got. And then I understood. I said, all right, maybe you wait till the bye, but I definitely would have done it at the bye. They didn't do it. I'm just glad it's happened now, and we hope that it can make an impact on this offense going forward for the last 7 games so we could try to evaluate some of the players that we have. And let's see. Uni says, our O-line is bad, really bad. There's no denying that. But Shermer had his offense going, and DJ was playing at a much higher level with much less talent. Yeah, I mean, and the offensive line played better under Shermer, and probably a lot of that had to do with the fact that he was able to scheme guys open quicker, get his quarterback out in space. The offensive line wasn't good, but it ranked much higher than it has over the last 2 years under Jason Garrett as the offensive coordinator. The red zone offense was 16th under Shermer. They've been 31st to 32nd under Jason Garrett. The offense was better under Shermer. There's no denying it. And he's a better play caller. I think we all knew that when we fired him. He was a good play caller. He was known as a good offensive coordinator. Xerox says, hi, buddy. Last night was the worst. It's soul-destroying. Graham needs firing too, and so should Judge. Clean house again. So disappointing. Yeah, we'll see if what they decide to do with the rest of the coaching staff. I don't expect there to be any more firings for the most part for the rest of the year in season with the coaching staff. But obviously there could be changes in the offseason. But Garrett, to me, was the obvious guy. He was the guy that I knew that they had to make a move with if they were going to make any changes from within season, because you have to try to evaluate your quarterback this year. And if you feel like he's preventing your quarterback from hitting his ceiling, you have to make that change so you can get an evaluation on him by year's end. Brandon says, just my opinion, but I think the lives are better. I appreciate that, Brent. Hey, I try to mix it up. Haven't done as many videos lately, so I understand where he's coming from. Honestly, there hasn't been a ton to talk about, but I'm gonna do. I'll definitely do a more in-depth video on this during the week. Maybe I'll sprinkle in something else as well. But yeah, I like to do the lives. I like hanging out with you guys, and I know when something big drops, a lot of people want to come on and not just talk with me, but talk amongst the chat about what they feel about, what just transpired with the football team. And this is big news. So I said I'll pop on and go live. Jason says, with Garrett finally gone, do you think Judge and Gettleman are hoping it saves them for the? No, I really don't. I don't think that's going to save. I mean, it might save Judge. From the way that Judge talks, I think Judge knows he's going to be here another year. And that's just the way that I interpret it. Everybody interprets things differently. But from the way he talks, how he talks about how it's a long-term plan, how he's thinking future, how he's talked since he's gotten the job, I think Judge legitimately feels like he's safe and he's going to be here at least for another year. That's just how I feel in my heart. I think he made this move genuinely because he thinks it could help this year's team. As far as Gettleman goes, I think Gettleman knows he's on the outs. I think he knows he's not going to be back. This is not going to save Gettleman. The only thing that could save Gettleman is if we go 9-8, and I don't see that happening. This was an appropriate move. I don't think it has anything to do with in terms of trying to save jobs. I think it was the right move to make, and I'm glad that the New York Giants made it. Also, have you made a final opinion on DJ? I personally don't like or hate him at this point. Yeah, let me see under the new scheme, but I feel what I said last night, and I hope my opinion changes on that. But my opinion right now is I don't think that Daniel Jones is going to prove to be a great quarterback with the New York Giants by the time we need to decide whether or not we give him a second contract, because I have no faith that the New York Giants could build a team good enough to get the most out of Daniel Jones's abilities. That's my opinion right now. Maybe my opinion will change, but right now, I obviously anybody that says they're sold on Daniel Jones is out of their mind. You can't be sold on him yet. The people that may think he have potential may look at the pieces around him and may say, if that improves, I think he could be a really good quarterback. I think that's the argument that is a fair argument that some people may make. But I don't have the faith that the New York Giants are going to be able to do that. It's going to take another year or two to really build up this offensive line. Even if you draft offensive lineman next year early in the first round, it's not going to just click like that. It takes some time for this offensive line to gel, and we'll see. Obviously, a new play caller could certainly go a long way, and hopefully they make the right decision there. And nobody's rooting for him harder than me. I want Jones to be the guy, but right now in my heart, if you ask me, what's more likely? Jones is going to be a franchise quarterback or Jones will not be a franchise quarterback with the Giants? I would lean towards the latter. And I hope I'm wrong, but that's how I feel right now. And a lot of it, some of it definitely has to do with him, and some of it definitely has to do with the help around him. Sticky Fingers says, he does not speak for me. I will always prefer the 2-hour interactive live streams format. Well, I appreciate that, Sticky Fingers, man. You're the man, dude. Always in my streams, always support, man. I appreciate you for being here, buddy. Rob says, only thing we have to celebrate is a firing. Yeah, Rob, it's bad. It's bad. Rob, if you think fans are excited right now, imagine what the fan base is going to do when Gettleman's fired, because you know that's coming. And when that happens, people are going to be going bananas. But yeah, I mean, I think it is something to celebrate, though, because I think it's people are excited because they think it's going to improve the football team. People have been saying time and time again that Garrett is holding Jones back. He's holding the offense back. He's holding the Giants back. And fans are going to get their way now. You know, whether you agree with that or not, as a fan watching this right now, the majority definitely feels that way. And, you know, hopefully making this change improves the football team. I think that's why they're celebrating. They're not celebrating because Garrett is fired because, you know, they're happy that somebody's unemployed, or at least most of them. I think they're happy because they think it's going to improve the New York Giants. In a way, I feel bad for Garrett, if I'm being completely honest. I think Garrett's a really nice guy. I think he's a good guy. I think he was put in a situation that was very hard to succeed. I think it was a horrible hire to begin with. We knew that Jason Garrett needed a really strong offensive line to succeed. We saw it with the Dallas Cowboys, and the New York Giants were nowhere near that. So it was just a bad job on the Giants' part to bring him in to begin with. Did I understand it somewhat? Yes, you were bringing in an inexperienced head coach with Joe Judge, 38 years old. You got a former head coach. Maybe you feel like you could show him the ropes. I understood it. It's what I said when we hired him. But in terms of the scheme, never was a great fit for Daniel Jones, and we didn't have the personnel on the team to really support what he was trying to do. So in a way, I feel a little bit bad for Garrett, but at the end of the day, it was the right move, and I'm glad that the New York Giants made it. Ben says, hope Kitchens will try to spread out the offense and get the ball out of DJ's hands more quickly. Work around the offensive line instead of in spite of it. And that's what Pat Shurmur did and we need to fix the line, by the way. I don't want to go in with the mindset of, you know, let's get an offensive coordinator here that could work around a bad offensive line. No, let's get an offensive coordinator that's innovative enough to be able to get the job done if the offensive line is subpar, or at least have a mediocre offense, kind of what Shurmur was able to do. We were kind of middle of the pack. But let's fix that offensive line so a guy like Pat Shurmur, if he's calling plays, or a guy that's on par with him as an offensive coordinator, could make this an elite offense. We still definitely need to improve the offensive line. Giants fan says, Andrew Thomas has more touchdowns than Golladay and Tony combined. It's pathetic. He's got 8 points total. He had the 2-point conversion last year as well. But it was a great catch last night. It was the highlight of the night as a New York Giant fan. Jay says, need to focus on the O-line and D-line this offseason. 1,000%. That goes without saying. I still haven't taken a sip of this water. They filled this all the way up to the brim. My God, hold on. 100%. O-line, D-line, Giants got to get better in the trenches. You saw it last night. You know, the defense last night, we got no pressure whatsoever on Tom Brady, start to finish in that game. Couldn't get any pressure throughout the entirety of that game. Leonard Williams needs help. We need more talent on that line. We need another edge rusher, no doubt about it. But for me, the offensive line comes first. If I'm the GM, comes first, because you got to be able to protect your quarterback, and you got to be able to evaluate him going forward, whether it's going to be Jones or whether it's going to be a rookie that you draft in the future. So for me, it's the line's got to come first, but I agree. We got to fix both, and we got to fix both real quick. Matthew says, a lot of people think we could go after Russell Wilson. All right, here I get asked this question all the time, Matthew. Here's my question. What is Russell Wilson's main complaint with the Seattle Seahawks? What do you hear countless times? Why did he threaten to force a trade out of Seattle to begin with? He can't stand their offensive line. So why in the world would Russell Wilson sign up to come to the worst offensive line in the NFL? Because that's what we are right now. If we're not the worst, we're among one of the 2 or 3 worst. So I just don't see it. I don't see why Russell Wilson would ever want to be a New York Giant. I could see him wanting to be a New Orleans Saint. New York Giants makes no sense to me. I don't see that happening. I know that would be a dream come true for a lot of fans. I don't know why he'd ever want to come here, so I don't see it. T says, do you mean that bizarre triple rub play? Yeah, I'm going to show that. It was pathetic. Over the middle, that put all 3 receivers in conflict and surrounded by 3 defenders. Holy crap. Yeah, I'm going to show that. As a matter of fact, let me show it right now. For anybody that did not see this play today. Okay? Hold on one second. Let me just make sure I got it up real quick. Dan Orlovsky posted this. This was a Jason Garrett play last night. Hold on one second. I'm going to play with the volume, too, because it's pretty funny. This was a Jason Garrett play. Let me share this real quick. This coming from Dan Orlovsky. Look at this play call, okay? And tell me that you don't think Jason Garrett needed to be replaced. And, by the way, look at the offensive line. Look how many guys that they said. Let me just read this real quick before I lose it. Brendan, man, thank you very much, man. Hook Kitchens allows DJ to sling it, frankly. Jones was better under Shermer when he let him be aggressive. I'm okay with interceptions if he's aggressive. Want to see us at least try to get – I agree with you. And that's what I said before the year started. I'm in complete agreement with you, man. I think the New York Giants need to give Daniel Jones let him go out there and make mistakes. Let him go out there and throw the ball down the field. I'm in agreement with you. Jonathan says, don't think you can go O-line with the first 2 picks. Edge is just as big of a problem as the O-line. Case in point last night. Jonathan, I'm not going to be upset at all if they go. I understand that it's a huge problem as well. I think it's going to be 1-1 if I had to guess right now. I think they're going to go edge line with their first 2 picks. Maybe you go line with the second round pick. Seymour says, why don't we use Devontae Smith? Well, we don't have Devontae Smith. And let me read Styles, then we're going to get to this video clip. Styles says, crazy to think I saw Garrett's last game as a Giant. Enjoyed the game's atmosphere nonetheless, but obviously would have liked to win. I think we all would have liked to win. But look at this play. The first thing before I show this play, the Tampa Bay Bucks send 3 pass rushers. 3. We've got, how many offensive linemen we got? Let's count them. 5, I think we got 5 and maybe 6. Maybe there was a tight end blocking as well. Regardless, they only send 3. Look how quick they get to Daniel Jones. And then look at over the middle, about 15 yards down the field, how congested it is with all the wide receivers.
What?
So we've got, let me count. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we got 5 guys blocking. They send 3.
There's a quarterback throw the ball. I can't find anybody open. I don't know. Because these guys are here. I mean, what is this?
3 guys over the middle. There's no, what is that?
What do you want them to throw?
What is that?
3 dudes are right here. This is a disaster, New York Giants. You practice this play? This is a disaster. Who you want him to throw the ball to?
Look at that. There's your evidence. What is that?
Why does the quarterback throw the ball?
So there you go. There was the play that was highlighted today by Dan Orlovsky, and it was just absolutely pathetic. That play call, no innovation at all. And yeah, just downright pathetic. You saw everything that's wrong with the Giants during that play. You saw the horrible offensive line. You saw the horrible play call. Just pathetic, man. And I'm glad that we made a change, and hopefully we can fix this offensive line, man. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anybody here. I got the Hope Kitchens. Jonathan, don't think we – yeah, I agree with you. I read that as well, the offensive line comment. Devontae Smith, I read that. What's up there, Seymour, man? Thanks for popping in, buddy. And let's see. I think Styles was next. Just want to make sure. Styles says – oh, I read that as well. Crazy to think that Garrett was calling the plays. But, yeah, you guys saw that play. You guys saw that's definitely a major problem with this team for sure, man. So, there you go. I'm glad Garrett's gone. Let's see. And MY Giants 26 says, Murmur's Gettleman's job is good as gone. I don't know where you heard that, MY Giants 26, but I don't need Murmurs to tell me that. I knew that already. I knew if this team didn't compete to at least win 8 games this year, which they're not going to do, he was going to be on the outs. So Gettleman's gone. I don't need Murmurs. He's gone. There's no doubt about it. I'm not surprised at all. Will says, what's the best way to utilize Jones's abilities? Best way to utilize Jones's abilities, I think what they should have done, one, they should have never fired Shermer. That's my honest opinion. I will go to the grave saying that. They should have kept Shermer for another year because I thought his scheme fit Jones best. What was Shermer's scheme? Shermer's scheme is a West Coast style offense. I want to see a lot more East-West plays, a lot more plays creating quick separation, rub routes, whatever it may be, more creativity. Little East-West. Garrett was too North-South, the stick patterns. It was horrible. No innovation, not scheming guys open. So for me, I want more of a West Coast style philosophy for Daniel Jones. And I just prefer that philosophy in general, but I think it fits Jones a lot better. I think you got to do a much better job in terms of rolling him out of the pocket as well, extending plays with his legs, giving him an opportunity to let wide receivers complete their routes, knowing that your offensive line is not great to begin with. So you got to be much more creative in terms of the play calling, but I think a West Coast style offense is what fits Jones best. I think it's why Shermer wanted him to begin with. So yeah, I never thought the new scheme really fit what he was best at. Let's see what we got. And Will, man, thank you very much, buddy. And Gabriel, man, thank you very much, man, for the $5 donation, man. I appreciate it, buddy. Joey G says, Jones needs to be a West Coast quarterback. Hope I can make. So, yeah, I agree with you. That's what I just said. So, 100%. I think that fits him better. Yuri says, hashtag let Kitchens cook, fellas. Let's go over Kitchens. I wanted to show you guys this article as well. Let me just share it real quick. Why won't it let me? Let's see. Stop screen. Let me share this real quick. I want to read this article about Freddy Kitchens while he was with the Cleveland Browns, and then I want to show you an interesting stat. Matter of fact, yeah, I'll do this first, and then I'll show you the interesting stat with Baker Mayfield with his splits. He stepped in as the offensive coordinator with the Cleveland Browns and the impact that he had on Baker Mayfield. But let's show this first. I wanted to read this article of when Kitchens took over. I'm just going to read it with you guys real quick. Just some things that he brought to the table of why Cleveland Browns fans were initially impressed with him and why he initially got the head coaching position with the Cleveland Browns because of what he was able to do, obviously, with Baker Mayfield when he stepped in there for that 8-game stretch. The first great addition that Freddy Kitchens implemented into the offense is the use of the slant flat concept. This concept is typically used against the cover 2 defense where there are 2 high safeties, corners covering the flat area near the sideline within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, and linebackers covering the hook zones over the tackles. To run a slant flat concept, the outside receiver runs a slant route towards the middle of the field while the inside tight end or running back runs an out route into the flat. The whole idea around the slant flat concept is to make the corner decide which player to cover in his zone, the outside receiver or the tight end or the running back. Then it later goes on to talk more about this. Freddy Kitchens has done a great job of executing this with his running back, Duke Johnson. Kitchens will send Johnson out of the backfield to the flat and let him make a play with his athleticism after the catch. The slant flat concept has played a big role in helping the Browns offense because it plays to the strengths of their playmakers. They have quick receivers at Jarvis Landry and Antonio Callaway who are good at getting open off the line of scrimmage. Duke Johnson and Nick Chubb are both good receiving backs who can make defenders miss, and Baker Mayfield has a cannon of an arm with a quick release. These 3 strengths make the slant flat concept deadly for the Browns, and it's the reason their offense has been so effective since Freddy Kitchens took over. The other stroke of innovation that Freddy Kitchens has brought to the Cleveland Browns offense is the variation of the flex bone formation with 3 running backs. Kitchens sets up this formation with Baker Mayfield in the shotgun with 2 running backs to each side of him and a 3rd running back behind him. The Browns have shown to both run and pass out of this formation, so it brings a lot of variation in what defenses can expect out of it. The generic run plays the Browns can run out of this formation or outside runs to either back beside Mayfield or on inside runs to the back behind him with the front 2 lead blocking. The generic pass plays for the Browns can run out of this set or play action passes or even the same slant flat concept I discussed earlier with one of the backs leading out of the backfield to the flat. The variety of plays the Browns can run out of this 3 running back formation helps them keep defenses guessing. If Freddy Kitchens has shown us anything, it's that he doesn't fly with being generic. His 3 running back set allows them to run a variety of trick plays. One we've seen so far is a halfback pass where Baker Mayfield hands the ball off to the. So you get the point. He's going to utilize the running backs a lot more it seems, at least what he did with the Browns in the passing game. It seems like he's going to bring a lot more innovation than what Jason Garrett brought to the table. I also want to show you guys the splits, which I'm going to get to in a second. Just want to answer a couple of these. And then I want to show you guys some of the splits in terms of what Baker Mayfield did before and after Freddy Kitchens while he was over there. So just wanted to go over that with Freddy Kitchens. Jason Johnson says, the news broke while I was at the gym too. The owner is a huge Giants fan and a few players train their one on the offensive line, unfortunately. News just broke at the gym I went to. Oh, the owner of the gym is a huge Giants fan and a few players. That's awesome, man. Well, I'm glad that you're happy, Jason. I just hope that Freddy Kitchens does a much better job and this offense starts to get going. Nikki Saab says, Tata, you sexy mofo. Hope Callaway gets a role. I mean, I think he probably – I would think he's probably going to keep the role that he currently has, but I could definitely see him being promoted at some point if Joe Judge obviously stays on as the head coach after the season. When it comes to DJ, I'll let you know when it's time to move on and move forward with the Giants. Y'all wait on me. Q-Dog, I say it all the time, man. He was the first guy that definitely was the biggest Daniel Jones supporter long before Daniel Jones was a Giant. I always give him credit for that, for sure. Let me stop this screen. And now I just wanted to share this split as well with Twitter. I actually posted it on my Twitter account, so I'm just going to show it there. Got this, so I think it was off of PFF. but I just wanted to show the splits with Baker Mayfield before and after Freddy Kitchens became the OC in his rookie season in 2018. So these are the splits right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm going to expand it right here. Freddy Kitchens was not the offensive coordinator in 2018 for the first 8 games of the Browns season, right? Let me just get rid of this so you guys can see this. First 8 games, weeks 1 through 8, he had a completion percentage of 58%. He had 6.6 yards per attempt. He had a touchdown percentage of 3.6, and he had a sack percentage of 8. After Freddy Kitchens took over, look at the difference. And it's not a small sample size. You're talking about half the season before and half the season after. His QBR jumped from 36 to 70. It doubled. His completion percentage jumped from 58% to 68%, a 10% increase. His yards per attempt jumped from 6.6 to 8.6. That's huge. His touchdown percentage jumped from 3.6 to 7.2. That's a double. And his sack percentage was cut in a fourth. It dropped from 8 to 1.8. So when Freddy Kitchens took over for the Browns as the play caller there, at least his first year there was a dramatic improvement for Baker Mayfield. And obviously, I think the New York Giants are hoping that it could be a similar effect, obviously, going forward for these last 7 games for Daniel Jones. Jay says, I was at the game and I couldn't bear to watch him call plays anymore. Gettleman next. Andrew Thomas touchdowns was Andrew, I was going nuts when I saw the Andrew Thomas touchdown. I was glad to see that he got that. You know I love offensive linemen, especially when they score touchdowns. So I was happy about that. Let's see. But yeah, that I hopefully you can do something similar here. Pear says, with maybe 2 top 10 picks in the draft, pick the best offensive lineman available and trade the other one back to get draft capital for maybe a quarterback in 2023. Draft 2022 is right now not a good quarterback class. Yeah, that's what I've said countless times. Dream scenario for me is the Bears are atrocious or us, whatever. We get a top 3 or 4 pick. Obviously, I'm hoping it's the Bears. And a team wants to come up to get a quarterback or whatever, get a player. We trade back from 3 or 4 to like 8. You still get your offensive lineman. You get like Linderbaum or whatever, and you get another first-round pick in the following draft, along with probably a second in this one. If a team's jumping from, say, 8 to 4 or 9 to 4, of course, it's fantasy. We don't know if that's even going to be available or possible, but that's my dream scenario as well because it gives you more future draft capital. When you have a better quarterback draft class, in case Jones doesn't work out, you'll be able to trade up and get your quarterback, or if he does, you just are going to continue to be able to build this team via the draft with more impact players in the first round. So I'm with you. To me, that's a dream scenario this year for the Giants if a team is willing to trade up and get a quarterback. NY Giants 26 says, our fat lineman Billy Price and Will Hernandez kept falling on Saquon after the play. Fatty's crushing our running backs. They get bitches around. They're horrible. The interior, just the offensive line in general is horrible. But specifically, the interior part of this offensive line this year has been awful, as is Nate Solder. So it's been the whole line. Brandon says, Watson too much of an off-the-field liability and has too much of a cap hit. We're not bringing in Watson. It's not going to happen. It's not happening. We're not going to make a move like that, and we're not in a place to make a move like that. We're not going to win a Super Bowl if we bring in Deshaun Watson because we're going to have to trade away all our draft capital. We don't have a good team to begin with. Doesn't make sense. We got to build up this team before we start making moves like that. So I don't see that happening. Let's see. That's just my opinion. I know some fans are going to say we should, but I don't think they're going to do that. Let's see. And Costa says, I say screw it. Let's call up Johnny Manziel, offer him a bag of snow and a bottle of whiskey. Time to start winning games. I don't think Johnny Manziel is going to do much for this team, but I know he's a popular player. Didn't really work out with the Cleveland Browns. I don't see him working out here. Will J says, the sticks concept was so bad, it always seemed we ran comeback routes or small dig routes, nothing ever deep or deep middle. Yeah, and you saw it last night countless times over and over and over again throughout that entire game. I mean, the first play to Ingram, there was a number of plays where it was, like you said, short, innovate, no innovation in terms of the routes. Were there a couple plays that I like? Yeah, I highlighted them in my post-game video. I really like the throw to Kyle Rudolph where they motioned, I think it was Eli Penny to the right. Obviously, the throw to Thomas was good. There was the trick play to Tony. I like that call. There was a couple of plays, but overall, like you said, man, not good. Will says, how much trade value did DJ and Saquon even have? It's hard to say, Will. Saquon's not going to have much. Saquon's a running back at the end of the day. Running backs aren't going to have a ton of trade value, especially one that has had the injury problems that Saquon has not produced at the level that Saquon was expected to. Obviously, some of that falls on the line, but he doesn't carry much at all. I don't think you're going to get much for Saquon at all, which is why I think he's definitely going to be back with the team. And the Giants are going to hope that he takes a big step up next year and either you extend him or then maybe if you could get something, you trade him if you don't think he's in the long-term plans. Daniel Jones, I don't know, because Sam Darnold, you wouldn't have thought would get much, right? Quarterbacks get value. And if a team out there, Sam Darnold got a second-round pick, a fourth-round pick, and a sixth-round pick. And if a team out there, and the reason I mentioned the Saints is this, and this is just me thinking, if the Giants would even think to trade Jones, which they probably won't, but why I think the Saints could make sense. One, we all know the Saints have a quarterback problem. Jameis Winston's probably not going to be back next year. Maybe he will, but if he's not going to be back, one, Daniel Jones' greatest game of his career, arguably, was against the Saints. So you impress Sean Payton. Sean Payton has a connection to the New York Giants. It's not a strong quarterback draft class to begin with. And they need a quarterback. So, and I could see Sean Payton convincing himself, yeah, I'm a really smart guy. I got a really good offensive line. I could bring this kid in here and he could succeed. All I got to do is give up a second-round pick. So I don't know if there's trade value out there for Daniel Jones. I don't know. But there was trade value out there for Darnold, and all it takes is a team or two to convince themselves that with the team that they have in place that they could get a lot out of the guy's ability. So I wouldn't be shocked if a team was willing to make a trade for him. But thank you very much, buddy. I appreciate it, buddy. And let's see. I missed NY Giants 26 there. Let me just scroll up here on the phone. Let me scroll up here on the phone. I'll just read it here. Might have missed you. I hope I didn't. I might have missed you. No, I didn't. Okay, good. Let me read the members chat. Jack, man, thank you so much for being a member, man, for 3 months. If Watson could play, I'd rather have Watson over Wilson. Go out and get him. Yeah, I just don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening. I know a lot of Giants fans want him. I just don't see it happening. I don't see the Giants doing it. I understand where you're coming from. He's obviously a supremely talented quarterback. If you could get him for not as much as I think it would cost, maybe. I think it would cost a ton to bring him in, and he makes a lot of money. Let's see. MYGI26 says, who are some candidates for the offensive coordinator? It's going to be Freddy Kitchens. It's already basically been announced that Jordan Renan said that if Freddy Kitchens is going to be taking over the play calling duty in season. So next year, I have no idea. I don't even know which head coaches are going to be fired. I don't even know who our head coach is going to be at this point in time, right? So next year, I have no idea. But for this year, it's going to be Freddy Kitchens. At least that's the way it sounds. So I think it'll be Kitchens. Connor says, John Merritt talks about we give all the power to the coach, and that's why we let Ben McAdoo sit. Eli Manning is the same guy that forced Judge to take Jason Garrett as the coach. He's most to blame. He's most to blame. He also forced, at least in my opinion, Gettleman to try to win in 2018 rather than try to rebuild. I will go to the grave thinking that, or he wouldn't have hired a GM if they weren't cool with Eli Manning being the quarterback, which you could never do. You cannot force a GM to do something when they first take the job. It's the stupidest thing you could ever do. You got to let the guy come in and do what he feels is best for the football team. He's had a history of doing that now for the last, 5, 6, 7 years, and not working. Brendan says, both of our teams are 3-7. Nobody has been fired in Seattle. Yeah, well, Brandon, man, thanks for popping in, man. Such a great supporter of the channel. Huge Seattle Seahawks fan. Pete Carroll may be fired this year. Wouldn't surprise me at all if at year's end. He's been there for a while. Obviously, Russell Wilson's not super happy there. I could see a change there for your head coach by year's end. I'm a little surprised you guys haven't made any changes yet, though, so far this year, because obviously you guys have been super underwhelming. Granted, Russell Wilson's been out for, at least a period of time for you guys this year, but your team's definitely underperformed. Lee says, what's the deal with Matt Barrett? He looks good, and then he gets 5 snaps last night. I don't understand. Well, I don't want to go as far to say that he looks good. I think there's instances where he's looked pretty good. There's also instances where he's looked really bad. But even if you feel that Matt Barrett is on par with Nate Solder, or even if you feel Nate Solder's a little bit better than Matt Barrett, which I don't know how you could feel that way, but even if the coaching staff feels that way, which they must if they continue to put Nate Solder out there, he's not better enough to the point where you shouldn't be putting Matt Barrett in there and getting him to develop as a pro. We knew when we drafted Matt Barrett that he was a developmental player with high upside. Long arms, athletic, went to UConn, needed some upbringing. How is he going to develop if he's not playing? So I could understand if they had a pretty good right tackle and you're not going to put Matt Barrett in there. Nate Solder should not be preventing Matt Barrett from stepping on the football field. I don't understand it. I understood it maybe in the beginning of the year because they felt that Barrett wasn't ready, so I was okay with it. But by week 5, week 6, there needed to be a change. There still hasn't been a change. And it goes to show you what I guess they feel about Matt Barrett. But it's not good, man. You got to get him out there. You got to get him some exposure. Makai, man, thank you very much. Last night, furthermore, exposed our biggest problem, which is by far the O-line. It's not even close. Been saying that since I've been on YouTube. Yes, I get we have a lot of other issues, but when you're getting pressured by a 3-man front, it doesn't get worse than that. We had 5 offensive linemen. Not only did we get pressured by a 3-man front, go back and look at the clip that I just showed earlier. They got there within 2 seconds. 2 seconds. 2 seconds they got there. 3 guys rushed the passer. We had 5 blockers. Why do you think Daniel Jones can't play well? I'm not saying, obviously, Jones played horrible. The interception was horrible. But what quarterback could do well in those conditions? We can't block. The offensive line has been pathetic. Pathetic. For 8 years, 9 years, 10 years. It's the same arguments I had with fans with Eli Manning. And Eli Manning was not great. He was not perfect. He was not carrying the team at that point in his career. But they couldn't block. You can't block. You can't do anything in this league. You got to fix the line. That's definitely by far the biggest primary problem with this team. Not even close. But thank you, man. Bill says, I'm a little groggy. Just got out of surgery to remove the 2 tumors from my butt. One named Jason Garrett and the other and the other's named Dave Gettleman. Wondering if they've gotten them both. They got one. They're going for one more tumor by the end of the year, and I promise you they're gonna cure that real quick for you, Bill. Bill, man, thanks so much for popping in, man. And Jonathan says, let's see, I just want to make sure I didn't miss any members. Sometimes I miss a members chat because they don't show it here. Chris, I sent the tweet about DJ. They got a lot of oh, that was you. That was you. That's right, Jonathan, man. Yeah, that was a good tweet, man. I kind of piggybacked off that because you got me pumped up when I read it. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to tweet this too, man. That was a great tweet that you sent out, man. Chris, I sent the tweet about DJ that got a lot of attention. I think you could win with DJ in the right system with competency around him. That play you showed highlights what he was working with. I never said he was the guy. Yeah, I mean, listen, here's my take, not just on Jones, but just like the Giants in general. Like, what good teams do is they're able to take a guy like Daniel Jones and make him look at least like a pretty good quarterback, okay? The New York Giants are not a good football team, and that's what I'll say about it. That's the situation for me. I think Daniel Jones could go to certain teams and look good. With the Giants, he can't because the team sucks. We can't block. Our play caller is atrocious. It's quarterback hell. That's my take. Do I think he's the savior? No. I'd be lying to you guys if I said otherwise. That's why I went crazy when we drafted him in 2019. I knew he wasn't a guy with incredible upside. So it wouldn't have been a guy I drafted. If I was a GM, and I'll never be one, but I say it all the time, it's fun to talk about as a fan. If I was a GM, when it came to drafting a quarterback prospect, if I'm drafting a quarterback in the first round, knowing that quarterbacks more often than not are complete swings and misses. More often than not, you're going to miss. About 20, 25% of the time, you'll hit on a guy that's going to be with your team for more than 6 or 7 years. You're going to get a franchise guy. Knowing that, I'm swinging for the fences. I'm taking the quarterback with by far the highest upside if I was a GM. I'm not going for the safe guy. I'm going for the guy with the highest upside. Now, in that draft, there was no huge upside guys outside of Kyler Murray. It was not available. But I'm just saying that would be my philosophy if I was a GM when it came to the quarterback position, at least early on in the first round. Wouldn't have been the guy I picked, but the Giants have not set him up for success at all. And I've tried to be as fair as I can to Jones because I know the circumstances that he's been presented with. And I know that most quarterbacks, given these circumstances, are not going to be very successful either. And the Giants have set him up for failure. John says, I'll be okay with Freddy calling plays if Russ calls third and end zone plays. The main reason, yes, his red zone, great point, John. I remember talking about that when we brought him in. And I got to go back and find that. But I remember when we brought in Russ Callaway, that was the thing that excited me most, was that he was great within the red zone. Great call by you. I completely forgot about that. Great call by you. That was his strength. And that's why I was excited that we brought him in, because I knew how much we struggled in the red zone the previous year. Good call by you, John. I completely forgot about that. And let's see what we got. And Fly says, as an Eagles fan, much respect to your channel, I'm a little worried this week. That's a big move for the Giants. You know how teams respond after that type of move. Fly, listen, man, you know I hate your team. And I'll be the first to say, man, I was dead wrong about the Eagles this year. I thought you guys would win 5 games max. You guys have surprised the hell out of me. I think you guys have surprised the hell out of a lot of people. What worries me about your team going into this game is your run attack. I think Sirianni's finally figured it out. He knows that the strength of your offense with your offensive line is to run the football, and you guys have been running the football very effectively. And if I was an Eagles fan, if I'm being honest with you, and I'm not saying we can't win, we certainly can. It's a divisional game. Hopefully this move sparks the offense like you said. I wouldn't be too worried because we can't stop the run. You guys have had a really strong running attack the last couple of weeks. I'm going to be honest with you. Your quarterback doesn't scare me. Jalen Hurts don't scare me. I know a lot of people are talking about him. Giants fans are talking about him, that they love him. He don't scare me. The guy hasn't thrown for more than 170, 180 yards over his last 5 games. He's not the guy that scares me. It's your offensive line and it's your running attack. Obviously, Hurts is a part of that. And the other thing that you guys are really strong at is in the red zone. Your red zone offense is very good, and Hurts' running ability definitely helps that as well. I think you guys are top 5 or top 6 in the red zone in terms of scoring, efficiency, and we have a pretty good red zone defense. You didn't see it so much last week, but I think that's what the game will come down to. Who does a better job of scoring when you get inside the 20? Can our defense hold up? But yeah, you guys have been better than I thought you would. I'm going to be the first to say it, man. And I think that Howie Roseman had a really good offseason for you guys. I think he was horrible the previous couple of years, but this past offseason, I think he did a good job for you guys, and I hate saying that. Adam says, are the O-line issues more talent or coaching? I think it's a combination of both. I really do. I think it's a combination of both. I can't really put this on Rob Sale, though. I'll tell you that right now, Adam, because what the hell does Rob Sale have to work with? You know what I'm saying? Like, look at this offensive line. And people look at Billy Price and they'll say, oh, he's a former first-round pick. Yeah, he's a former first-round pick. He's a former first-round pick that was going to be cut by the team that drafted him in the first round. Matt Skura. I mean, my God. You know what I'm saying? So he doesn't have much to work with on this offensive line. So it's very hard for me to really evaluate him as a coach. But in the past, sure, I'm sure the coaching has a lot to do with it in terms of not getting the most out of their abilities. I don't know whether or not Rob Sale will be a good offensive line coach or not. But he has nothing to work with right now on this team, especially when Andrew Thomas is out. Last night, Thomas was mediocre, I suppose, but he was coming off the injury. I didn't expect him to be vintage Andrew Thomas that we saw over the first 4 weeks this year. And hopefully he gets back and he's completely healthy and starts to grow throughout the rest of this season. But I think the talent is the bigger issue right now, if you ask me, in terms of the offensive line. I'm sure coaching is definitely part of it, but I think talent's definitely a big part of it. And the fact that the New York Giants didn't address the offensive line at all this offseason, it was a disgrace. Nader, man, thank you very much, man. Keep Ross, get rid of Slayton. Yeah, we'll see. Ross is going to be a free agent at the end of the year. I think it was only a 1-year contract, if I'm not mistaken. I wouldn't mind bringing back Ross on a cheap deal. I'm not giving him a multi-year contract. The guy just quite simply is way too injury prone. Slayton, I think Slayton will be back just because he doesn't cost anything. There's no reason to cut Slayton. The guy makes like $800,000. He's a 5th-round pick. So I think he'll be back if I had to guess. Whether or not he'll have a big role in the offense, that's another story. But I think he'll be back. But will he be here long term? That's probably not going to happen. E. Lucas says, if you're GM, do you offer a 1st or 2nd round pick swap and Jones for Mayfield? No, I don't want Baker Mayfield. Assuming the Giants pick is out of the top 10, nothing. Cleveland will want DJ. No, here's what I want nothing to do with Baker Mayfield. You know, I just talked about, and again, everybody's got their own opinions. I don't think Baker Mayfield's good. I just talked about what I would do if I was a GM. He is the complete opposite of that. If I was going to draft a quarterback early in the 1st round, I would go for a guy with high upside, a guy that jumps off the page. I'm not trading for a guy that doesn't jump off the page in any way, shape, or form. What does Baker Mayfield do that makes my jaw drop? What does he do? He's not mobile, doesn't have a great arm. Yeah, he's a cheerleader. He's got a lot of commercials. He's got a good personality, I suppose. Baker Mayfield, to me, is the epitome of average at the quarterback position. I would never trade for Baker Mayfield. I want nothing to do with Baker Mayfield. And Baker Mayfield in the New York market would be a disaster. Simon, man, thank you very much. He says, never thought I'd see you this animated after yesterday. Well, we got Jason Garrett out of here. I know I feed off of you guys. When I know the fan base is excited, I get excited. So I feed off of you guys. The Ground says, Jets draft Vera Tucker, looks like a Pro Bowler. Michael Carter is a steal, who was a bulldozer. Eckler, tight back. Elijah Moore has been amazing. Michael Carter, in 267 coverage snaps, has allowed 0 touchdowns. Hey, man, I know you're a Jets fan. The Jets have been doing a good job, man, in terms of drafting this year. And I actually agree with the way they're building their football team. I still think you're like 2 years away, but you got to keep building up that offensive line. But I think you're doing a really good job over there. Tochi says, I don't get why Solder is out there. Our season is basically over. Use Parrott, let him develop, get rid of Solder. You hit the nail on the head, man. We don't need to get rid of him, but just put him on the bench. They got to start playing Parrott. That's why I went crazy on Twitter last night when I found that he was going to play. Charles says, I noticed Brady usually snapped the ball with 25 left on the play clock, but we take it to 0. Relevant. I mean, perhaps. The one thing that I noticed from Brady, and the offense, and Brady always does this, how quick he gets the ball out. I mean, that's the other thing, Charles. You look at what the Bucs did offensively compared to the Giants. They get the ball out so quick. How is it that their offensive coordinator could scheme up the wide receivers to be open within a second, But our wide receivers take 4 seconds to be able to get any kind of separate. Like, how is that? It's not like their wide receivers are that much more talented than ours, right? So some of that has to fall on the play caller, right? But I thought Brady did a great job in terms of getting the ball out as quick as he possibly could. In terms of the play clock winding down, I didn't really look at that. Maybe that was a game plan of the Bucs to come out and hurry up and get the Giants defense off their guard. I don't know. But that really wasn't something that I looked at throughout the entirety of the game, if I'm being completely honest. But in terms of the offensive play calling, it really stood out, man. How quick the Bucs were able to get the ball out and how quick their wide receivers were able to get open. Let's see. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Once again, thank you to everybody for being here, man. What's going on there? Isaac, man, thanks for popping in the stream, man. And Will says, doing 4 years of college in PA makes your life hell. Hey, man, college, you got to go to college. You got to finish your degree, man. What's going on, Will, man? Thanks for popping in. Carl, let me just see the super sticker here because it doesn't show me on here. They got to fix that, man. Seth, man, thank you very much. He says, Victory Tuesday. Thank you for being a member for 3 months. Appreciate it, buddy. And Carl Wright says, hey, you. What's going on, Carl? Man, thanks for popping in, buddy. And I think I'm caught up. Thank you to everybody for being here. Appreciate it. And yeah, Jason Garrett has officially been replaced by the New York Giants. I know a lot of you guys are excited. We'll see what the offense looks like going forward for these last 7 games. Going up, the one thing I'll say, we're going up against mediocre teams in terms of the defenses. So hopefully this offense could start to click, and maybe we'll have some confidence going into the next season with all these weapons here. And we'll see if Kenny Golladay can start catching touchdowns, something he hasn't done all year. Pistol Pete, man, thank you for being a member. He says, I've seen enough of DJ to know he ain't the guy. We need to start shopping/scouting. Hey, I think that's a fair opinion. I'm not going to fault anybody for having that opinion at this point in time. I think that's a fair opinion for sure. But I don't want to draft a quarterback this year. I'll tell you that right now. I don't want to force a quarterback pick. And I think that's what we do if we drafted a quarterback. So if that means we stick with DJ for another year or two and we build up the rest of this team and find out if he can improve and then get our quarterback, I'm on board with that. We got to fix what really matters on this team. But I don't blame you at all for having that opinion. Simon says, when we get the ball out quick, it's the triple coverage. Yeah. And you saw it was the same thing with Andy Reid versus the Chiefs. Go back and watch that game. It was the same thing. When the Chiefs played us, Mahomes was getting the ball out in 2 seconds. Every time he dropped back, bing, bang, boom, boom, right down the field, quick slant routes, screen passes, whatever it may be. When we run a screen pass, nobody blocks. There's no innovation. There's nothing set up properly. So it certainly some of it falls on the play caller. John says, Chris, it looks like Joe Judge wait too long to finally fire. Hold on, let me read this. Chris, it took Joe Judge way too long to finally fire Jason Garrett. Mike Garoppolo said Joe Judge had the final say on Jason Garrett. How long do you think Tibbs goes before letting Grimes play? As far as the Knicks go, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, he's been a coach that has shown in the past that he's not a guy that looks to develop players. He looks for the here and now. He tries to win as quickly as he possibly can as far as the Knicks go with Thibodeau. So, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. Me, I would like to see Grimes get some minutes. Kemba Walker to me is not the answer. I think it'll work itself out, though, like I've said all year. Eventually, there's going to be an injury, and I think Grimes will get some playing time. But I don't expect it anytime soon until such time that there is. I think he's going to roll with the veterans. That's the type of coach that Thibodeau is. As far as Judge goes, I agree with you. I was okay. I understood not firing Garrett up until the bye week. I would have fired him at the bye week. That's when I would have made the move. So he's off by a week, but it would have given him 2 weeks to prepare with his new, being the new offensive play caller with Freddy Kitchens. So that's when I thought that they should have done it. Michael says the Garrett firing was like the scene when Tommy got whacked at Goodfellas. # inevitable. Yeah, and that's kind of like the Gettleman firing when that happens. It's going to be the same thing. What's up, Sarcone? Mike says, yeah, he's fired, man. I know you're excited, buddy. We suck all this money we spent, and Andrew Thomas caught a touchdown over our number one receiver. It's crazy, my guy. Also, what does our firing from today do for us? Well, I think what it does for one, I don't have the answer for you. I don't know what it does for us yet. I got to see what the offense looks like under Kitchens. But I think what it attempts to do for us is to give us a better evaluation, not just on Jones, but our offensive players in general. Obviously, the Giants feel that Garrett's holding these players on this team back on offense, whether it be the receivers, whether it be the running backs, whether it be the quarterback. And that's what they're attempting to do. Are we going to the playoffs? No, but could it potentially give us a better outlook on our talent for our roster going forward into next year, figuring out who's going to stay and who's going to go? Yeah, I think that's the reason that they did it. Why they waited this long? I don't know. They probably should have done it at least a week or two earlier. They didn't do it. Hopefully Kitchens comes in and they get this offense going down the right path. Pistol Pete says, calling the next game tonight. I may or may not. I'm supposed to be going to the movies with my brother tonight. But if I'm not, yes, I'm going to be calling the game. But I may or may not. I'm not 100% sure yet. He's got to get back to me by 5 o'clock. But if I'm not going to the movies, yes. Tyler says, if Gettleman is somehow out GM and goes back to the O-line, hog mollies in the first this year, do you think he redeems himself? Gettleman is somehow out GM and goes back to if you're saying if Gettleman is not fired, I'm assuming that's what you mean, and goes back-to-back hog mollies in the first this year, do you think he redeems himself? Tyler, listen, to me, that hypothetical is just not possible. I just don't. I can't imagine a scenario where Gettleman comes back next year. I can't imagine it because the fan base would revolt. And rightfully so. The team has not won since he's been here over the 4 years. Are there arguments you could make that was the draft this year? Does it look pretty good? Sure. But it's just not working. And I don't see it. I don't see Gettleman coming back. I think they're going to make a change at that GM spot. In the hypothetical world where he stayed, if he drafted 2 players that I liked in the first round, I'd give him credit for the draft. But I just don't see it happening. I don't see Gettleman being here. And maybe, for people that don't hate Gettleman, maybe in 4 or 5 years, if the team turns it around, and he'll get credit for some of the moves he made. But I don't think he's going to be here next year. I think he's gone. And Jonathan says, I hope Kitchen implements slants, short posts, and he will. I read that in the article, Jonathan. He's definitely going to do that. That's what he was known for with Cleveland. New York Giants simply don't challenge the middle of the field. Galladay's biggest plays have been on the slants and post. Yeah, in that one game I think it was against the Saints, where he had a good game. Maybe it was the Cowboys. I think it was the Saints. Yeah, it was a lot of stuff over the middle of the field. Carl Wright, man, thank you so much for the $5 donation. I appreciate it. Yeah, Gettleman's gone. Gettleman's gone. Roll says, sorry for joining the party too late, but wanted to say, hell yeah, it's about time they fired Garrett. So he's gone. And we'll see if we make any other major changes at the end of the year. But I know people are excited out there. And Jeremiah, he says, what's going on, Jeremiah? Big Eagles fan. That's the only Gettleman support you're going to see more often than not in my chats when I do a Giants stream. Eagles fan comes in. He says, I love Gettleman. He's great. Keep him there for another 100 years. What's up, Jeremiah? Steve Jones says, we got a 4-4 guy in Ingram and never run him up the seam. Yeah. I don't know, man. Ingram only had, 2 targets last? Ingram sucks, but Ingram only had 2 targets last night also, I think. Patrick says, Strahan going to space. What do you mean? Is he actually going to space? Is he going on one of those Virgin Galactic By the way, I don't know how many of you guys saw that. I know it's a little bit off topic. What's up, Philip Hennings? I don't know how many of you guys saw that, the space thing when Virgin Galactic first went up. I watched it on I forgot what channel, but they showed it. I watched it. I was like, people are gonna pay. However, it was like a ridiculous amount of money. People are gonna pay, like, say it's $500,000, whatever it is. People are gonna pay that much money to go up to space for 5 seconds. Like, they went up to space. I'm watching this thing, and they're going up, and they get up to space, and I'm expecting them to at least, like, be able to take a few pictures. They're up there for like 10 seconds, and then they send the rocket ship back. I'm like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I just don't see it. What's up there, Jared McConnell? Thanks for popping on the stream. Mackay Butler says, we brought Garrett here to run the ball, and Gettleman did nothing to help that. That's for damn sure, man. That's for damn sure. Complete disaster with the offensive line. Pistol Pete says, and no, I'm happy you're here too, Phil, man. Thanks so much for being here, man. Daniel says, check out your Twitter. I will in a second. Louis Riddick next GM. I mean, I have no idea. I have no idea what they're going to do with the next GM. If they're going to go with an outsider, I think Riddick will get an interview. He got an interview last time. Whether or not he'll get the job, I have no idea. So I don't know. I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know who's going to be the next GM, whether it's going to be an in-house guy, whether it's going to be him. I'll be the first to say I wouldn't be in love with Riddick as a hire simply because some of the moves he said he would have done if he was the New York Giants GM during the last 3 or 4 years. I don't agree with a lot of the things he would have done, but if he gets the job, I'm going to support him. I'm going to root my ass off for him. I'm going to hope he does a good job, and I'm going to try to understand the moves that he makes and try to make sense of what he does. So if he gets the job, he gets the job. I'm sure he'll get an interview. Jay says, check U Stadium tweet. All right, let me take a quick look. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to keep up with the chat. A couple people told me to check Twitter. Let me check real quick. U Stadium. I'm following him. What did he say? He's a Jets fan, I think. Freddy Kitchens is expected to be the interim OC. Is that what you wanted me to check? I already know that, if that's what you wanted me to check. Oh, Dave Gettleman is as good as gone, in quotes. The only thing up in the air is New York, is if it will be a total house cleaning with the entire staff. Yeah, I mean, that's not new. I mean, I guess it's news to me because I haven't seen it in writing. But, I mean, that's not news to me, man. That's happening. And I know you guys are going to be super excited when it does, but that's happening. I think we all know that's going to happen. But I guess somebody said it. Maybe he knows somebody that said it to him. I don't know. But I'm not surprised by that. Andrew, man, thank you so much, man, for the $5 donation. I appreciate it, buddy. And Nader says, no Louis Riddick. Hey, man, if they hire him, they hire him. Like I said, wouldn't be my choice. But if they hire him, I'm going to support him. Ash Money, man, what's going on, buddy? But it would not be my choice. Nick Suck right now, more importantly, though, Kemba, but basketball is basketball, but we should have kept our team the same as last season. We were better. The Knicks this year have been super disappointing so far. It's still early. I'm not going to go crazy yet, but they've been super disappointing so far. Jeremiah says, I like Jones, not saying he's the guy, but Gettleman definitely did him no favors. That's why he's my favorite. By the way, what made him choose Garrett? Well, I honestly don't think Gettleman chose Garrett. I really don't. I think Garrett was a Mara guy. I really believe that. To be honest with you, I don't think Gettleman chose anybody on the staff. I think Judge chose the entire staff pretty much outside of Garrett. I think that was Mara influenced, being that he had a relationship with Mara in the past. But if you look at the entire coaching staff for the New York Giants, they are all guys with connections to Judge. Whether it's the defensive coordinator, whether it's the linebackers coach, whether it's the D-line coach. We kept two guys on the staff that were there before with Pat Shurmur. I think that was the special teams coordinator and maybe the wide receivers coach. Outside of that, every coach outside of Garrett and Colombo, who came along with Garrett, who was the initial offensive line coach, did not have a connection to him. I mean, everybody else had a connection to him. So I think that was Mara influence. I don't think that was Gettleman influenced. Let's see what we got here. Hey, Chris, do you think Jason Garrett was a plant sent by the Cowboys? No. I know a lot of people have brought up that. Conspiracy theory that the Cowboys sent him over here to screw up the New York Giants. No, I think he's a guy that Mara thought would come in here and do a good job. And maybe here's what I'll say: the only reason I could see why, I try to understand why Mara wanted to force him on here was because he felt that Judge was inexperienced and he needed a veteran mentor. But here's my thing. If you feel that way, then why did you hire him? You know what I'm saying? If you're going to go all in, go all in. If you're going to trust Judge to be your head coach, you shouldn't have to bring in a guy with former experience to come in and mentor him that Judge, in my opinion, probably didn't want to be here to begin with. So it was a mistake. Carl says Kitchens is not a winner. At Dallas, a loser. At Cleveland, a loser. Why would this pattern suddenly change that? Well, he's not a winner as a head coach. But he did do I'll show you. And may work, it may not. But I'll show you right now what he did in terms of when he stepped in as an offensive coordinator with the Cleveland Browns with Baker Mayfield. And he did have success. Whether or not we will have success again, that remains to be seen. He, of course, failed as a head coach. But I will show you what he did with Baker Mayfield when he was the offensive coordinator for the 8 games after he stepped in. There's a sample size of 8 games before and after. He doubled his QBR. The first 8 weeks before he was the offensive coordinator, it was a 36. With him, it was a 70. He increased the completion percentage by 10 from 58 to 68%. He increased the yards per attempt from 6.6 to 8.6. He doubled his touchdown percentage from 3.6 to 7.2. And the sack percentage went down from 8 to 1.8. So there is evidence that in the past, he has had success as a play caller before he got the head coaching job with the Cleveland Browns. Jeremiah says, we'll keep it all intact. Keep it all intact. It's going great. I don't expect that to happen, Jeremiah. Let's see what we got here. We got to trade Saquon. We're not going to get anything for Saquon. Let's see. You'll get the McRibs for the there you go. Benny the hot chick is blocked. Why do you think Judge would have hired? Who do you think Judge would have hired as OC if Mara never stepped in to hire Garrett? That's a good question. I'm trying to even remember Oh, man. It might have been Kitchens. It might have been Kitchens. Him and Kitchens had a great relationship. I remember talking about that. He brought Kitchens onto the staff, but it might have been Kitchens. Wouldn't have been surprised if it would have been Kitchens from the beginning. But I don't know. I don't know who it would have been, but it could have been Kitchens. Wouldn't have been surprised. Let's see. Who do you think Judge would have? Oh, I just answered that. Let's see. Freddie was a Judge guy anyway. If he takes quarterback, wait until Bryce Young comes out and take him. Here's the thing, and I see a lot of people have talked about. I've seen a lot of people have talked about Bryce Young. Here's the thing. It's great to say let's wait 2 years and then let's take him, and he looks great as a quarterback prospect. I've watched some games with him. If he's that good, he's gonna be the first pick. So it's easy to say, let's just take him. We're probably not going to be able to take him. We're probably not going to have the first pick. I know we're bad, but we're probably not going to be that bad. And then you could say, well, you should trade up to get him. But if he's that good of a quarterback prospect and the team picking at 1 wants him, they're just going to take him. They're not going to trade down. So we can't bank on the fact that we're going to be able to get a guy like that. Regardless of OC, we need to fix the line. Yeah, of course. Offensive line makes everything look better. This team loves Georgia Bulldogs so much, I wouldn't be shocked if they drafted JT Daniels. I hope not. Are the owners to blame for the picks and direction of the franchise the last 10 years? So frustrating. This is New York City. I mean, I'm not going to blame Mara for the picks outside. I mean, you know what? I'll blame Saquon on Mara. I'll blame Saquon on Mara. I put that more. I honestly do, because that's just my opinion. I think that was more. I think Mara told Gettleman he wants to win. He wants to give Eli another chance at a Super Bowl. But outside of that, after when we know 2018 was a debacle, outside of that, I'm not putting anything on Mara in terms of the player person, the players that we brought in via the draft and via free agency, because that's when we started the rebuild. That's when Gettleman got full say in terms of the players that he wanted to get rid of, the players that he wanted to bring in. That's not on Mara at all. I do think Mara, and again, this is just me thinking, but I do think Mara, 2018, I put a lot more on Mara than anybody else. Giant says, do you think Barkley's trade value has definitely decreased or stayed the same since the beginning of the season? Definitely decreased. He's gotten hurt and he has not improved as a player. He's only got 1 more year on his contract, and that's the 5th-year option, and then he's going to be a free agent. So it's decreased. He's not worth anything right now. I mean, maybe a little bit, but he's not worth much. You're not getting much for Saquon Barkley right now. You're not. As a Giants fan, if you want to trade Saquon Barkley, you got to hope that he comes back and he plays very well and a team feels like he could put them over the top. And right now, be honest with yourselves. Don't think as a Giants fan. If you're a team, why in the world would you trade for Saquon Barkley? Why? You only get 1 more year of control. The guy's been completely decimated with injuries the last 3 years. And running backs break down by 28, 29 years old. So why in the world would you trade anything substantial for Saquon Barkley when you could just draft a running back? Why would you do it? So he doesn't have much value. Pete says, give Kitchens a chance. Let's see what he can do. I'm with you on that, man. A pimp named Slickback, man. Thank you very much, man. He says, fire Judge and Dave Gettleman next, trade Jones. I'm on board with trading Jones. I've said that, and it's not because I said it last time in my video. I'm on board with it. And again, you can't just say trade Jones. There's got to be a trade there. But if the right deal presented itself, I would, because I would get draft capital. I'd bring in a stopgap quarterback. As far as Judge goes, I mean, I'm gonna let them do what they decide. If they bring in an outside GM, I want that outside GM to be able to make the decision. I don't want Mara to say you got to stick with Judge. If they bring in an outside GM, if the outside GM likes Judge, roll with it. But I want the outside GM to make the decision. And let's see what we got here. Hey, Chris, what's up? I heard fire Jason Garrett news. So let's say with Kitchen in his OC for the remainder of the season, let's say the Giants finish at 10-7. Well, they're not gonna, though. We're not gonna, man. Do you think Kitchen stays on as the OC? I mean, sure, if we went 10-7, but it's not going to happen, man. But what I will say, what's up, Carlos, man? Thanks for popping in. What I will say is if Judge remains on as the head coach, which we don't know if he will or won't next year, I would lean that Kitchens will remain on as the offensive coordinator, especially if they have a pretty good second half offensively. What's up there, Bodie, man? Thanks for popping in. Who do you think is the best quarterback in the draft? I got to do more research. I mean, I've seen some of them play. None of them have impressed me in terms of being a huge difference maker. But I'll give you a better answer as the draft gets closer. But none of them jump off the page to me as being worthy of a top 10 pick. And none of them are a guy that I think could come in here and be the savior to the franchise. Are there guys in this draft that could certainly step into a good situation to be very good quarterbacks? Yes. I don't think there's any guy that could step into a situation like we have and carry this team. I don't see that. I don't think that there's an incredible quarterback prospect in this draft. Jeremiah says, I knew this franchise would ruin Barkley. Poor guy. Man, it sucks, man. Because I love Saquon. Saquon's the man. I love Saquon. And I'm not going to just blame it entirely on the Giants. There's been injuries. That's obviously nobody's to blame for that. That's bad luck. But it has not worked out at all, man. What's up, Chris? You're awesome, man. I think Louis Riddick, GM, get Nick Saban as the head coach, rebuild the roster. I mean, if we get Nick Saban, I'd take it, but I don't think that'll happen. O-line and linebacker in the first round, great idea. Yeah, I'm on board with that for sure. Edge rusher, inside linebacker, offensive line. I'm on board with any three of those positions in the first round, but definitely an offensive line with one of the two picks, regardless. What do you think about trading Shepard? Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Let me pull up Shepard real quick, because I get asked this question a lot. Sterling Shepard, one, he's hurt again. He gets hurt all the time, right? So that definitely hurts his value. But Sterling Shepard's contract right now, if you go to spottrack.com, Sterling Shepard next year, he's under contract another year in 2022. He costs $12.5 million against the cap. The next year he costs $13.4. The guy's always hurt. He gets hurt every year. I don't see the value. I don't see a team wanting to trade for him. So my answer to you is no. We're not trading Shepard, and it's not because the Giants wouldn't if the right deal presented itself. I don't think there's a market for him. I don't think there's a market for him. Let's see what we got here. And Stephen Lilly from across the pond. He says, let's go Giants. Let's go. Maybe Jones will be allowed to throw the ball now. Number 56 to go. He threw the ball last night. Not good route concepts. We didn't run the ball at all for the most part, but let's just hope Jones could progress as a quarterback and we see a much better offense in the second half. I think this was worth a shot. That's for damn sure. And hopefully Kitchens could come in here and spark something with Daniel Jones. Yeah, the tackling last night was pathetic. Well, it's not. So I see you say it's just insane how much more Shep makes than Slayton. I don't think it's not really insane, Cheyenne, only because Slayton's still in his rookie contract. So Slayton has no choice but to make that money. The 5th round pick. When you get drafted, you're under contract for 4 years. So he's still on his rookie contract. Once he's off of his rookie contract, he'll get paid more. Shepard's on his second deal. So that's why he makes so much more. Let's see. Jones throws the ball to a DN without. Yeah, that was horrible. That was one of the worst throws I've ever seen. Schefter makes it official. That Freddy Kitchens is the OC. Nicky, man, what's going on, Nicky, man? Thanks for popping in, buddy. Yeah, it's definitely easier to move Slayton than Shepard. That's for sure. You could move Slayton. You can't move Shepard. Andrew says, do you think Saquon can turn it around? Yes, I do. But you know I love Saquon, and I got to be as honest as I can on my channel. I got to be as honest as I can. I cannot always think like a fan. I can't think with my heart. He's my favorite player. Do I think he could turn around? I do. I think he could. I think he could be a great running back in this league. However, I don't think the New York Giants should extend him. I think it'd be a mistake. The only way I could even think that it would be a reasonable decision to extend Saquon Barkley would be if you draft a rookie quarterback. Like let's play this hypothetical out, right? Say we keep Jones for another year. We build the offensive line. We draft 2 offensive linemen. We build up the defense. Behind that offensive line, Saquon Barkley looks really good. He stays healthy. He has a great year. But Jones is not going to be the part of your future. The only way it makes any sense to me, and even then, I would not give Barkley more than like a 3-year contract with the ability to get out after 2. But the only way I'm willing to give him a second deal, if I'm a GM, is if next year the team improves, I come to the conclusion that I'm not going to be paying Daniel Jones, and I want to use the money to be able to support my future quarterback. And knowing that I'm going to have a quarterback on a rookie salary, if Barkley has a great year, I could say to myself, okay, I could give this guy a 2-year commitment, 3-year deal, ability to get out after 2 to help assist the development of my quarterback going forward. That's the only way I could see it even making sense. But right now, if you ask me, I don't think he's going to be a part of the future outside of maybe 2 more years. I see the 5th-year option. He's definitely going to be here, and a franchise tag is a possibility. Outside of that, I don't really see him being here much longer, if I'm being as honest as I can. And I love Saquon. Jeremiah says, it's always funny how fans say trade this guy because he stinks. Well, if you don't want him, who does? It's true. It's true, man. It's true. I'm tired of not having a quarterback that gets fired up and loud and dominant. Is that fair? I mean, it's fair. That's your opinion. That's what you want. Like, to me, I don't give I could give two SHITs of whether or not my quarterback is fired up or not. Eli Manning, people used to say that all the time for Eli Manning. Oh, he's boring. He's got that all shucks attitude. He's never gonna work. He's never fired up. I love that about Eli Manning. Nothing bothered Eli Manning. He never got rattled. He never got fired up. He never changed his demeanor, whether through a pick, whether through an interception. He was even keel. So for me, do I need a quarterback like Baker Mayfield, who every time a guy scores a touchdown, he's waving the pom-poms and he's jumping on his receiver's back? No. I need a guy that's even keeled. I need a guy that's not going to be, that things don't phase him. So for me, do I need that rah-rah personality in my quarterback? For me personally, no. As a matter of fact, I actually think it's a good thing that a quarterback is not too rah-rah. That's just my personal opinion, especially in New York. Daniel Jones' personality has nothing to do with why I think he will probably not be the long-term solution with the New York Giants. It has everything to do with the fact that I don't think he could overcome the situation he's been put in. And V-Man says, you Stadium reported Dave Gettleman is as good as gone. Yeah, and that's obvious. And Judge will be gone. That I did not see. As good as gone. Oh, question is, will Judge be gone? And will Maritish leave the comfort zone in the hiring process? I could have told you that. You didn't have to go to U Stadium for that. I could have told you that. Gettleman's definitely gone, and that is the question. That's the only question that remains in terms of the offseason. Are we going to fire a Judge, and are we going to bring in an outside GM? And we'll get an answer, within 2 months. Bringing Peyton and Eli to run the football ops. I got to watch that, Austin. I still haven't had an opportunity to watch back the Eli. I taped it, so I'm going to watch it back. I still haven't gotten a chance to watch it back. Obviously, I was streaming the game last night. But a lot of people said they said a lot of good things. T says, if Jason Garrett was fired by Joe Judge, has Mara changed his tune? No. I don't think that has anything to do with it, because people have asked me that question in the past. People have asked me, do you think Mara is preventing Joe Judge from firing Jason Garrett? I've always said no, because I think he had a lot to do with the hiring. But we fired Mark Colombo. Mark Colombo was obviously Jason Garrett influenced. He was the offensive line coach with the Dallas Cowboys with Garrett. We fired Colombo 8 games in, so I'm sure Garrett didn't love that. So, no, I don't think it has anything to do with Mara letting up. I think Mara always gave Judge the say to what he wanted to do with his coaching staff. John says, quarterbacks available, Winston, Baker, Darnold, Watson, DJ. What do you mean, next year? I want nothing to do with Darnold. Nothing to do with Darnold. Watson, I think, is going to cost you too much, and I just never see I don't see the New York Giants bringing him in. I just don't see it. Maybe Winston. I don't know, man. Baker, I want nothing to do with. And, another name you could throw in there is Garoppolo, but there's no, and maybe Bridgewater, but there's nobody that's going to come in here and be the savior of the franchise. If you're bringing in an outside quarterback, it's to be a stopgap. It's to be a hold me over until you draft your next quarterback, if they go that route. Stephen Lilly says, I just went outside and I could hear Kenny Golladay laughing from here. What's up, Lily? And Jeremiah says, I'm going to start a petition to save Gettleman's job. I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are, man. Share what's going on, man. I'm telling you now, Willis falls into the second round. I want him. It was good enough for Wentz. It's good enough for DJ. The second round, not first. I'm not gonna. I don't think he's gonna get to the second round. Malik Willis. I think there's gonna be some teams that convince themselves that they could. And I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be against drafting Malik Willis if I felt like we had the team to support a quarterback and drafting him in the top 10 picks. I just don't. But I'm sure there's going to be a team in the top 10, the top 15 that feels he could be the answer, whether that be the Washington football team. I don't know, but he's not getting to the second round unless he has a horrible combine. And at that point, I may change my opinion on him as a prospect as even being worthy of the second round. So I very much doubt something like that would happen. Huge issue. Giants do not know how to draft, Charles says. Of course, that's been a problem for a long time. And we're not taking any quarterbacks. And that's kind of the way I feel, Save. Part of me just like, it's like, I want him to get it. I, as a fan, knowing that in my heart, I don't think we're going to be able to fix this team by the time we have to come to the decision whether or not to keep DJ. I almost want to see DJ get an opportunity somewhere else, and I'll root my ass off for him. I hope he does a great job. I don't think it's going to work here. That's honestly how I feel right now. And maybe my opinion will change by year's end. Maybe Kitchens coming in will spark something. But that's how I feel right now. And let's see what we got here. Gettleman's gone, man. And let's see what we got here. I know that the playbook will stay the same, but what scheme did Kitchens run in Cleveland? I'll read this article again for you guys. So I'm sorry if you guys already heard it. I'm sure that there's some new guys coming in. I'll try to skim through it as quickly as I can. I'll read this article again for you guys real quick, though. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but some of the things that he brought to the Cleveland Browns and why Browns fans were so impressed with him when he took over as the offensive coordinator for a short period of time before he became the head coach. Robo says Baker for DJ trade. No, I want nothing to do with Baker. Why do people want Baker Mayfield? Why do people want Baker Mayfield? Baker Mayfield sucks. I want nothing to do with Baker Mayfield. I want nothing to do with Baker Mayfield. Nothing. I don't want him anywhere near the New York Giants. Baker Mayfield sucks. Baker Mayfield. All right, let's talk about this. Baker Mayfield literally is in quarterback heaven. He's like, we talk about the situation we want Daniel Jones to be in. That's what Baker Mayfield has. Baker Mayfield is in quarterback heaven. He had an AAF running back come in and run for 150 yards in one game. After Nick Chubb was down and Kareem Hunt was down, they brought in an AAF running back. He ran for 150 yards. He's got an offensive line from heaven, and he sucks. I want nothing to do with Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield on the New York Giants would be absolutely pitiful. I want nothing to do with Baker Mayfield. Let's see what we got. Tyler says, draft Linderbaum and Hutchinson if we can. That'd be great. You get yourself a great pass rusher and an interior offensive lineman. That'd be good. And Esar says, when Galladay didn't block for KT, I hated that, man. I hated seeing that. And there was a couple of other plays. It wasn't just that one where I felt like he kind of looked like he checked out. I understand that he wasn't being utilized and he was upset. I still hate seeing that, though. And what's going on, Josh, man? Glad to see you, man. Eric Bieniemy is my top choice for head coach. I think that would do a lot, not just for our play on the field, but for our perception of ownership. Josh, you're an awesome guy, man. Always talk to him. He's a huge Knicks fan. Glad to see you pop in, man. Thanks for the support, man. Listen, I wouldn't be against Bieniemy. The only question I have with Bieniemy, Josh, is this. And I haven't done a ton of research on him. I did some research on him when the New York Giants brought him in for an interview. The only issue I have with Eric Bieniemy is this. And somebody told me that, and I don't want to start spreading rumors, so I'm not even going to say it. Somebody told me he had like a couple of DUIs in his past. I don't know that, though. I'd have to do research on that. But the thing that questions me with Bieniemy is this. One, why has the guy had so many interviews? And I know a talking point with Bieniemy, obviously, is he's African-American, and a lot of people feel he doesn't get a job because of that. But the Houston Texans hired an African-American instead of him. They both interviewed for the job. So my first question is, why has this guy gotten so many interviews and not gotten a job? My second question is he's never called the plays in Kansas City. Andy Reid has always called the plays. If they brought in Bieniemy, of course, I'm going to be excited. He's a young guy. He's an offensive-minded guy. I'm going to give him a chance, okay? But we'll see. You know what I'm saying? Those are the questions I have with Bieniemy in terms of being a head coach candidate. That's my only questions. But I'm sure he's going to be a hot topic of conversation in terms of the head coaching candidates if we look to bring in one. John says, I trade DJ to ESPN for retired Peyton over Baker. Well, Peyton to me is the most cerebral quarterback of all time. Pistol says, Kitchens going to go deep with Jones, use Tony better. I sure hope so, man. And I'm gonna get to that article in a second. Nikki says, breaking, Joe Judge will address the media on Zoom soon. I'm definitely going to have to check that out. I'll probably make a video on that if he says anything that's, worth talking about. But that's my only issue with Bieniemy. But let me get into the what's up there, Von Manix popping in. But let me get into the article real quick that I told you guys that I was going to show you real quick for anybody that popped into the stream, because a lot of people are asking about what Freddy Kitchens could bring to the offense. I wanted to go over the article real quick of what he's done with the Cleveland Browns when he first got the job as the offensive coordinator and some of the things that they liked with him as an offensive coordinator, what he did differently with the Browns offense. And I'm not going to pull up the stats again, but he basically doubled every statistic for Baker Mayfield in 2018 over the last 8 games. His touchdown percentage doubled. His sack percentage was cut in a quarter. Like, his stats were off the charts compared to what he did previously when Freddy Kitchens took over as the offensive coordinator. But here's what the article had to say. The first great addition that Freddy Kitchens has implemented into the offense is the use of the slant flat concept. This concept is typically used against the cover 2 defense where there are 2 high safeties, corners covering the flat, and the linebackers covering the hook zones over the tackles. To run a slant flat concept, the outside wide receiver runs a slant route towards the middle of the field, while the inside tight end or running back runs an out route into the flat. The whole area around the slant flat concept is to make the corner decide which player to cover in his zone, the outside receiver or the tight end or the running back. And you're going to see as we continue to read, he used the running backs a lot more in the passing game than the previous offensive coordinator. And they said that that had a lot to do with why Baker Mayfield progressed as a quarterback. Kitchens has done a great job executing his running back, Duke Johnson. Kitchens will send Johnson out of the backfield into the flat and let him make a play with his athleticism after the catch. The slant flat concept has played a big role in helping the Browns offense because it plays to the strengths of their playmakers. They have quick receivers in Landry and Callaway. For the Giants, it would be Kadarius Toney, who are good at getting open off the line of scrimmage. Duke Johnson and Nick Chubb are both good receiving backs who can make defenders miss, and Baker Mayfield has a cannon of an arm with a quick release. These 3 strengths make the slant flat concept deadly for the Browns, and it's the reason their offense has been so effective since Kitchens has taken over. The other stroke of innovation that Kitchens has brought to the Cleveland Browns offense is the variation of the flex bone formation with 3 backs. Kitchens sets up the formation with Mayfield in the shotgun with 2 running backs to each side of him and a 3rd running back behind him. We actually saw that for one play last night with the Giants. The Browns have shown to both run and pass out of this formation, so it brings a lot of variation in what defenses can expect out of it. So there's a couple of things that he added to the offense. And like I said, and there's more, but like I said, the main thing that he really, why he became the head coach with the Browns to begin with was that he did such a great job with Baker Mayfield in 2018. So, in terms of improving him as a quarterback, that's why he got the job. They felt that Mayfield was very comfortable with him. And you hope that obviously he could do the same thing with Daniel Jones. So that's what he did. And I don't think I read this one. Scardello says, Louis Riddick for GM, trade Barkley, kick the can on quarterback until the draft of 2023. Draft O-lineman this season, Steve. If they do that, I mean, listen, if they bring in Riddick, they bring in Riddick. If he takes that plan and you get something for Barkley that's worthy of it, I got to see obviously what the trade would be, but of course I'd be interested. And yeah, as long as you draft offensive lineman early in next year's draft, I'm going to be happy as a fan. That's what they need to do. Dan says Byron Leftwich could be good for head coach. Byron Leftwich, I'll say, and it's very hard. I have to do more research on Byron Leftwich because obviously Bruce Arians, I don't know if he calls the plays. I don't know the ins and outs of the Bucs organization. Bruce Arians is really smart, known to be a really good offensive mind. But obviously Leftwich has been getting a lot of talk, and if they feel he's a good candidate, bring him in. Having Brady certainly doesn't hurt, but that's the type of coach I want, man. People have asked me in the past if we fire Judge, which I honestly don't think we're going to do right now. But if we do, what type of coach do you want? I want a young, innovative offensive mind. So if they felt like he could bring something to the table, I'd be open to it. I know he's been getting a lot of play in terms of being a potential candidate. Let's see. Leftwich calls the plays. Okay. Yeah. See, I didn't know. So that's why I said that. I didn't know. So we getting rid of Judge. Angela, that I can't answer for you. And I'm not going to be able to answer that till the end of the year. I'm leaning still no, but my opinion may change week to week. We'll see. Use your brain and don't let the media think for you. Regarding what, Christopher? I try to do that. Anthony says, Chris, do you think Kenny Golladay or Kadarius Toney can finally get their first touchdown under Kitchens? They better. They better. You spent $72 million on Kenny Golladay. The guy hasn't touched the end zone. He barely touched the football. So they better. If they don't, then we need another offensive coordinator. They better. Let's see how Freddy Kitchens runs the offense. Yeah, we got to give him a chance, man. Let's give him 7 games at the end of the year and see what he does. He got fired on 4th and 1 and fired again in the third quarter, down 14 in 3 tight end formations. Yeah. Let's see. Say Jones is better with Kitchens. Does that make him a franchise guy? No. There's no way. And I may eventually come to the conclusion I think he's a franchise guy. But I'm going to tell you right now, there is no way this year I will come to the conclusion that he's a franchise guy. Yeah, there's no way. So no. But he potentially could mean that I want to see him for another year. I want to see what he does these last 7 games. Let's see what we got here. Chris, where is the super chat? Dave Gettleman must go, and soon. He built this. Gettleman's gone. We know that. Gettleman is absolutely gone. Press conference about to start. That's good. Guys, watch. Where's the press conference? It's on Zoom. I only intended to do this for 2 hours anyway because I got a couple things I got to do. I'm going to watch the press conference, though. But I am going to close this out. I just wanted to come live with you guys, talk about Garrett for a little bit. I knew it was big news. I knew a lot of people were going to be excited about it. Definitely check out the Judge press conference. I appreciate all you guys for being here. Yeah, I'll definitely have a video probably tomorrow talking more about it when more news comes out about what, Judge says and whatever else it may be, what Kitchens says, what he wants to bring to the offense, my opinion on all of it. But yeah, I think it's good news. I think it's good news that the New York Giants are starting to show some change. I think it was a change that absolutely needed to be made. And, we'll see what Kitchens can bring to this offense over the final 7 games. Can't be worse. So we'll see what happens. Yesterday was horrible to be a Giants fan. So, guys, I don't have the link to the press conference. If somebody could get me the link to the press conference before I leave, where's the link, man? Where's the link, guys? Is it on Twitter? Can somebody get the link to the press conference before I leave? So, Mel's, be good. I'll wait. I'll wait to see if we get a link. It's on the Giants app. Okay, hold on. Let me go to Giants.com because I have the Giants app on my phone. But my guess is it's probably on Giants.com as well. Oh, no. Let me check the Giants app real quick. Check the Giants app. Maybe I'll stick around because people might not have the Just got relieved of duties as offensive coordinator. I'm not good with apps, guys. I'm looking for it. Apparently it's on the app. Oh, Kid Blue's got it on YouTube? KP's streaming it. Okay, there you go. Kid Blue's streaming it. Okay, so hold on. I'll give you Kid Blue's link. Go over to Kid Blue. Kid Blue's awesome. Hold on one second. All right, so Kid Blue's streaming it. There's Kid Blue's channel. Go on over there, check him out, subscribe. I would stay on and do it with you guys, but I got something I got to do today. I got to get a suit. Going to a wedding in 2 days. So I appreciate all you guys, all the support that you guys always show on the channel. Got a couple of things I got to do, though. Otherwise, I would stay on a little bit longer. But thank you guys for all the support. Appreciate it. And Jeremiah, man, thank you very much. Who's taking over Garrett's position? Kitchen's going to be the new OC. Kitchen's going to be the new OC. And I hope he does a great job. But, guys, have a great rest of your day. Be good. Thank you guys for all the support. Go Giants.